This is the age of adventurers, a time when heroes are forged, not born, each carving their own legend from a world of chaos. Their path lies through mysterious gates that appeared from nowhere. Beyond these portals, nightmarish monsters, things that have no place in the human realm. Countless adventurers have died in there, but the promise of powerful, priceless artifacts fuels the ambitions of anyone wanting to strike it rich. Our story begins at a bustling port in the city of Lit, a major hub for trade ships and adventurers alike. As their ship docked, a brown-haired boy named Damon practically exploded with excitement, yelling, "We finally made it here!" Walking through the streets, Damon couldn't ignore the calls from all the small-time merchants. His eyes lit up as he took it all in. So this is the port city of Lit, huh? Damon was completely captivated, looking at everything around him. Just then, Wer walked up, slinging an arm over his shoulder. "You seem pretty happy, huh?" Damon saw Wer's expression and shot back. "You're just as excited as I am, aren't you?" Trailing behind them were Tehran and Charlotte, both just as thrilled to be starting this journey. They pushed forward, full of passion and a hunger for victory. Right here, right now, their real adventure was beginning. The four of them stopped for a moment to rest and plan their strategy. Wer's face turned serious. "We need some bait," he said. "We have no idea what's inside that gate until we enter. Too many adventurers get wiped out by surprises. And that's exactly why we need a few slaves to use as decoys." Hearing Wer's proposal, Charlotte thought it made perfect sense and agreed without hesitation. They needed someone to distract the monsters so they could escape if things went bad. So, soon after, the group headed straight for the slave market, a place that specialized in selling decoys. The merchant there greeted Wer with a disturbingly friendly smile. According to him, the market was run by the Gaff Mechanics Guild. He assured them all the slaves here were meant to be bait, so they could pick freely. He let out a big laugh, guaranteeing, "You won't regret your purchase." Then, he pointed towards a cage in front of them. "I recommend these. They've got a pretty big build. Top quality stock." Wer didn't even hesitate. He bought both of them on the spot. The scene then shifts to a mysterious, glowing red gate. Wer walked over to a large tree right next to the portal. He pulled out his dagger and carved a mark into the trunk, a sign for others that someone was inside. Looking at the tree, it seemed like no one had ever entered this gate before, which meant they would be the very first to step inside. This got the four of them even more excited. One by one, the group and their two new slaves stepped through the portal. But something felt strange about this place. As they moved forward, they were stunned by the sight of giant, glowing mushrooms in the middle of a dark forest. They'd never seen such a mystical place. This was completely different from what they had imagined. Wer, leading the group, urged everyone to keep moving. These areas are usually far from any monster lairs, so we should be safe for now. Charlotte, observing nearby, then spoke up. "We can't go back through the same gate. We need to find a new exit first, just in case." But just as she said it was safe, a huge monster with razor-sharp teeth lunged from behind her. By the time anyone realized, it was too late. Charlotte was already under attack. The entire group panicked, screaming at the sudden appearance of the massive beast. They couldn't believe a monster would show up here, of all places. Then, a horrifying realization hit them. It wasn't just one monster. They were surrounded. Wer immediately raised his rocket staff, transforming it into a bow that fired arrows of pure magic. He let one fly, striking the monster that had Charlotte. The shot forced the beast to drop her, but something felt wrong, terribly wrong. He screamed at the others, "Tie the two decoys to a tree. We have to run, now." Following the order, Tehran pulled out his knife to threaten the slave in the black cloak. The slave begged to be taken along, but Tehran didn't care. He just yelled, "Shut up and stay here." Meanwhile, Damon quickly chained the other slave to a tree root. And just like that, they sprinted away, leaving the two slaves behind. Despite the slaves' desperate screams for help, a monster charged and attacked the one in black, while another raised its claws, ready to pounce on the slave in white. Meanwhile, Wer's group was running for their lives, trying to escape the horde. Wer carried Charlotte on his back, panting heavily. "This run's a failure," he gasped. "Forget about clearing the gate. We just need to find an exit fast." But Damon was still in complete shock. Frozen by what had just happened, he just stood there, completely ignoring Wer's urgent shouts. He wasn't moving. Seeing Damon just standing there like a statue, Tehran grabbed him by the collar and yelled. He said, "Move, you idiot. Listen to Wer and snap out of it. We failed this time, but we can always try again. Don't give up. We're all getting out of here." Tehran was trying his best to rally his teammates' spirit, but from behind them, another monster had already caught up. In an instant, it lunged at Tehran, slamming him into the ground so hard it cracked the earth. Rock fragments flew everywhere. Wer saw it happen and screamed Tehran's name in horror. but Tehran was already gone. He couldn't answer back. Damon, terrified, just sat trembling on the ground, staring at Tehran's body and weakly calling his friend's name. That's when Ware snapped. Full of rage, he prepared his rocket staff to fire another magic arrow, but the monster gave him no chance, whipping out its long, sticky tongue. It wrapped around Ware's body, hoisting him up towards its mouth, leaving him completely helpless. Seeing this, Damon was paralyzed with fear. The monster was absolutely brutal. Ware could only struggle and scream for help. Now, the creature turned its attention to Damon, still scrambling on the ground. It lunged, sinking its teeth into his leg. Damon screamed in agony. Suddenly, he noticed someone standing in front of him. He realized it was the other slave. A flicker of hope. Damon desperately begged for help. "You're alive? Awesome. Quick, help me. My entire team is dead. It's just you and me now." "Oh, right. I'm sorry about before. I didn't mean it. You can't escape alone. An extra person can't hurt, right? So please." But the slave just stared back coldly. The thug's patience snapped. He screams, instead of just standing there, "Help me out, you damn bastard." Seeing the guy's fury, the slave up in the tree doesn't say a word. He just smirks, and then leaps down to the ground. You'd think he was here to save the day. Nope. He just stands there, spear in hand, totally emotionless, watching the monster maul the other guy. And as he watches, he says coldly, "I don't know. Looks like I'm a little too late." Right then, the monster is about to swallow the thug whole. Seeing this absolute betrayal, the thug screams with pure hatred. "You bastard! You think you're getting out of here alive? You're next." But before he could finish his sentence, the monster swallows him in one gulp. Now, its new target is the slave standing right in front of it. It lets out a low growl, then lunges forward like a freight train, aiming to kill. But the slave? His expression doesn't even change as he stares it down with ice-cold eyes. Then, he raises the spear, and with one clean, decisive strike, skewers the monster straight through, pinning it to the ground. It collapses, unable to move, unable to fight back. Then, our guy casually brushes his hair back. "I'm not dying here, not in a place like this. This man is El Pomi." We cut to a different time, a desolate wasteland, totally ravaged by monsters. High on a cliff, the silhouettes of a small group of people. They're adventurers, the lucky few who survived the apocalypse. And before them, a countless horde of hideous monsters, each with its own twisted form and terrifying power. One of them stands out, a massive, three-headed beast. That is the Dragon King, Gontai. The girl on the cliff watches the scene unfold, her voice filled with despair. Looks like the Sagittarius organization has fallen too. Now, we have nothing left to rely on. The Knights Order, the Resistance, the Crusaders, all the adventurers, and even the 6 heroes who were once our hope. They're all dead. You're the only one left. The very last adventurer, El Pomi. Let's go. Time for our final adventure. And just like that, the battle erupts. In an instant, the entire forest becomes a battlefield of pure destruction. Pomi collapses to his knees, his body covered in blood. Around him, the bodies of dozens of his fallen comrades. All he can do is stare at the carnage and scream in agony. His brothers in arms, the ones who fought by his side, all gone. And now he, the last survivor, is forced to kneel before one of the heads of the Dragon King, Gontai. He looks up helplessly at the sky, where the now 2-headed Gontai circles above, and asks himself in despair, "Is this really how it ends? It's regenerating its severed head. Everything we did was for nothing. Is this my end, the end of the world, and the end of our adventure, too? What a joke. How can this be the end? Philip, Jiden, Alexis, they all sacrificed themselves for this." He screams at the top of his lungs, "I can't accept this." His eyes burn with pure rage as he glares at Gontai. He is determined to destroy this thing. It can't end like this. Pomi gathers what little magic he has left into his palm. He tries to form a magic arrow, but his body is too broken. The magic in his hand shatters into nothing before he can even launch the attack. The backlash causes him to cough up a massive amount of blood. And now, Gontai has noticed him. It begins to gather a huge amount of magic in its mouth, preparing to fire. The Dragon King unleashes the blast straight towards Pomi. Completely exhausted, he can only stand there, frozen, watching his doom race towards him as he blames himself. How pathetic. Why did it have to end like this? If only I were stronger. If I just had one more chance. Suddenly, cold water splashes over him as someone shouts, "Get up, you bastard! Don't think faking sick is going to work. A slave like you should know his place." Pomi's eyes snap open to a familiar, yet impossible scene. He's totally confused. What about Gontai? Am I still alive? Wait a second. This is the slave market. His mind is reeling. The slave market was abolished a long, long time ago. But this place, it's definitely real. And that merchant, if I remember correctly, he was the one who managed me 5 years ago, back when I was a slave. That's right, it's him. So does that mean I've gone back in time? On that day, Pommy returned to the very beginning of his story, as familiar memories flooded his mind, and his first meeting with a man named Walker. It all replays itself. Pommy thinks, why overthink it? This is my second chance. Back in the forest inside the gate, Pommy wanders around, picking up any weapons left behind. He finds Walker's fire staff and examines it. The skill isn't bad, and it matches my current skill level. But this isn't enough. An adventurer needs more than just one weapon. Otherwise, coming back here was a waste of time. Suddenly, Pommy stops in front of the leg that was spat out by the monster. An idea sparks. That's right, some people hide valuables in their shoes. He checks the boot and, sure enough, finds a ring. Its name, the Ring of Telekinesis. Just then, the remaining monsters, drawn by the scent of blood, finally track Pommy down. Before he even realizes it, he's completely surrounded. They charge at him instantly, but with his incredible skills, he quickly takes down a few of them with just the tiny spear in his hand. But suddenly, another monster shoots out its freakishly long tongue, wrapping it around the spear. With a single sharp tug, it snaps the weapon clean in two. Seeing this, Pommy is actually a little surprised by the strength of these monsters. But the others don't give him any time to think. They lunge forward, mouths wide open and lined with razor-sharp teeth, ready to attack. Using Walker's staff, Pommy immediately activates the fire rocket spell. He takes down the monster in just a couple of hits. Not stopping there, he decides to test out the ring's power. With a single wave of his hand, he wipes out dozens of the creatures around him. Thanks to that one move, the number of monsters has dropped drastically. Now, the remaining ones are actually afraid of him, but he knows he can't keep this up. He thinks to himself, this should be fine, but when the monsters charge again, he instinctively jumps back because the fire rocket skill won't activate. The fire staff isn't broken, it's just on cooldown apparently. Pommy has no choice but to fall back, trying to defend himself against the swarm. With no other options, Pommy resorts to using the staff for physical attacks. He starts brutally punching and kicking each monster one by one. The staff in Pommy's hand hums with power again. With it, he unleashes a fire arrow skill, blasting a single bolt of flame, then uses his ring to fire off another volley. They rocket toward the monsters, wiping them out completely. Not a single one is left. But after the slaughter, that lizard woman is still alive. She weakly tries to speak. Seeing her still breathing, Pommy is a little surprised. She's still alive? Lucky. No, wait. Make that unlucky. The lizard woman is still trying to process it. You're no ordinary slave. Then her voice turns to rage. The spear techniques. And now magic? Who are you? How do you have that staff? And what is that on your wrist? How did you awaken? You're just a slave. Was this all part of your plan? Hearing the contempt in her voice, Pommy just gives her a cold stare. Are you done? He asks. Sorry, but you're dead wrong. Even if I had some grand plan, it wouldn't change a thing. I was going to kill all of you anyway. At these words, the lizard woman glares at Pommy, absolutely furious. She can't believe his audacity. Pommy raises his staff towards her, his voice dripping with contempt. I find people like you, who use slaves as bait, absolutely disgusting. After leaving the gate, Pommy walks down the street, drawing shocked stares from everyone around him. They couldn't believe their eyes. A slave. Returning on his own? Pommy couldn't care less about their whispers. His mind was already on his next steps. The die is cast, he thinks. I need to move quickly to avoid repeating my old fate. First things first. I need to free myself. With that thought, he stops in front of a large city building. Inside the Adventurers Guild, the guildmaster, a man named Abbas, is staring at a report from his subordinate in disbelief. He just can't wrap his head around it. A slave, back alive. And what's more, without a single scratch on him. Even crazier? He apparently survived inside a gate where all the other adventurers who went with him died. Abbas takes a drag from his cigar, thinking, something's definitely not right. After all that, he didn't run. He came right back here. Those who sell themselves into debt to become bait. They're fated to stay bait, even if they manage to survive and return. The fact he didn't flee proves he knows he can't easily escape my grasp. The only real way out for him is death. Abbas leans back at his desk, questioning his subordinate. This report is from the Gafor Mechanics Guild, isn't it? Why am I listening to this nonsense? The subordinate reports again. There's one more thing, sir. That slave. He has opened his first magic circle. Hearing this, Abis looks utterly stunned, like he's just heard the most ridiculous thing in the world. He asks again, "You're telling me a slave, a piece of bait, opened his first magic circle?" He trails off, lost in thought. That slave will face punishment from the Mechanics Guild, and if something goes wrong. While he's thinking, the subordinate speaks up again. "Also, sir, he wants to change his contract. It seems he wishes to register as an adventurer." Hearing this, Abis is even more shocked. How could a lawless slave dare to do something like that? Seeing Abis boiling with anger, the subordinate respectfully adds, "Sir Rakan has requested that you personally look into this matter." Abis is stunned yet again, slamming both hands on his desk and shouting, "Sir Rakan!" His expression is now a mess of confusion. He thinks, the chief enforcer of the entire guild is interested in a slave for a reason like that? No way. Could it be about that? After his subordinate leaves, Abis loses interest in his cigar. He just stares out the window, deep in thought. A piece of bait. Wants to become an adventurer? Under the princess's new policy, the story of a slave like him shouldn't even exist. But in other words, people are always slaves to money. If you can't repay your loan, you're forced into hard labor until the debt is cleared. In this world, those people are simply called slaves. One day, Pomi's only relative, his father, died of illness, and Pomi became a slave. He had bought an herb called black weed from the guild on credit, but they inflated the price to many times its market value, 1 million meso. Pomi was accused of being unable to repay the 1 million meso. By the rules, he was sentenced to work for the guild without pay until the debt was settled. And so, for 6 long years, Pomi was brutally exploited. Now, it was time for revenge. Pomi is now sitting in a room, across from the Adventurers Guildmaster, Abis. With just a glance, Pomi could tell this was the guy. Rakan's right-hand man, one of the guild's top enforcers. Pomi celebrated internally. "Looks like I've caught a big fish." He then introduces himself, giving the name LP. Across from him, Abis seems perfectly calm, holding a hot cup of tea. "I know," he replies. "You want to amend your contract? I've heard the reports, so I'll keep this brief." With that, Abis sets his tea down on the table. His eyes lock onto Pomi with a serious gaze. "I will change your contract's designation to F-rank adventurer." Hearing Abis's words, Pomi is surprised he would agree to his request so easily. It's just as he thought. The man must have figured something out. But Pomi didn't have the patience to beat around the bush. He gets straight to the point. "Thank you, but I want to be E-rank." Abis's face immediately sours. "What? E-rank? Why don't you just ask the Adventurers Guild to promote you to A-rank while you're at it?" Seeing Abis's reaction, Pomi lays out his reasoning. "I've been through hundreds of gates over the past 3 years as bait. Isn't that enough experience to qualify me for E-rank?" But Abis wasn't having it. He fires back at Pomi. "Even so, you were just bait. You've never actually hunted a single monster. Risk his life when he hasn't even paid back his debt?" Puffing on his cigar, the man thought to himself, "Absolutely insane. That kid needs to know his place. If he wants to survive his first day as an adventurer, survive his first day as an adventurer." Still, why do I feel something immense coming from him? Suddenly, Abis, feeling a bit playful, threw out a challenge away for Pomi to prove he had what it takes. "This gate holds 5 people. And see these 12 slash marks? Prove it," Abis said, smoke curling from his lips. "Do what you say you can, and I'll grant your every request." He shoved a contract toward Pomi, a dangerous glint in his eye. And of course, Pomi wasn't about to pass up an opportunity like this, was he? The scene shifts. We're in a forest now, where a guy confronts Pomi. "So, you're the rookie joining our party? Nice to meet you, I'm Chep, the team's tanker." He then gets right to it. "Heard from Mr. Abis you used to be a slave, right? Don't worry, I don't care. My teammates don't either. Hope we can work well together." Then he immediately asked about Pomi's skills. "I heard you can use fire magic," Mac chimed in, stepping closer. "Wait, what do you mean? You can use multiple elements?" Chep jumped back in. "From what I've heard, mages can only use the element they were born with, so any items that don't match their affinity are totally useless." The others in the back started whispering. "You ever hear of that? This is getting complicated." Chep got them back on track. "Alright, enough chatter. As you know, we're not here to hunt monsters today. Our mission is to find and collect the gear left behind by 12 other teams. Then we bring it all back to the guild. I heard they're paying 3,000 meso per item." Max scoffed, clearly annoyed. "Aren't they taking too big of a cut? We won't make a thing unless we can get some of their drops. An enchanted ring for an adventurer is worth over 7,000 meso. The guild's price wasn't even half of that. A man with a scar on his face said, "But what's the point in complaining?" Max shot back. "What? When was I complaining?" "Enough, everyone," Chep ordered. "Ready? Let's make some money." As they ventured deeper into the dark, creepy forest, a dark-skinned man muttered, "It's bright out, but this place, it's giving me the creeps." Chep warned everyone to stay alert. "We'll probably face a lot of fights in here, so we need to set up a temporary base first." One of the team members pointed up. "Chep, what about up in that tree?" "With those branches, hiding and moving between trees would be easy." Chep nodded. Not bad. Let's do it." Everyone dropped their gear. Matt clapped Pommy on the shoulder. "You just rest up. Setting up camp is my job and that idiot's over there." Once the base was ready, Chep spoke. "Base is set. We're splitting into 2 teams to search the area." He assigned Tom and Da. "You 3 are team 1. We'll check east and west, then meet back here. If anything happens, signal immediately and run back to base." "Got it?" Everyone yelled back in unison, "Got it." Jeff and Pommy went together, with Chep leading the way. But something was bothering him. How have we been walking this long without spotting a single monster? Not even one piece of gear. Did we get here too early? We'll just have to go deeper tomorrow, he decided. Chep then turned to Pommy. "So, how's your first expedition as a real adventurer feel?" "I'm nervous," Pommy admitted. Chep laughed. "Haha, of course. Who isn't?" he continued. "You know, even after all this time, my heart still pounds every time I step through a gate. I'm a coward, really, but I keep moving forward because I have amazing teammates," he added. "It sounds weird to praise them myself, but they're genuinely good people." Chep's tone turned sympathetic. "I was sorry to hear about your past. Used as bait? I can only imagine how horrible that must have been. Speaking of which, Pommy, would you want to?" He turned around, smiling. "Join our team." But Pommy was frozen, staring at something. Chep followed his gaze. At Pomy's feet was a patch of molten rock. Chep coughed. "Well, just something for you to think about, no pressure." That evening, everyone gathered back at the camp, a fire crackling between them. Max sighed, looking defeated. "Ah, you guys didn't find anything either, huh?" Chep shot back. "You think finding this stuff is easy?" He chewed on a piece of meat. "Can we not talk about work while we're eating? We can talk about it tomorrow." Pommy just quietly took a sip from his flask. The moon was high now. Chep, holding a torch, whispered, "Hey Pommy, you asleep?" Pommy didn't move, still wrapped in his blanket. Mac put a hand on Chep's shoulder. "Captain, what's with the extra effort?" He pulled out a knife, a savage grin spreading across his face. "He's out cold. How's he supposed to answer?" one of them says. "What? You're being way too careful. Did you forget what we put in his food? That stuff can knock out a 100-kilo monster. He swallowed a ton of it," Mac says, inching closer to Pommy. "He's lucky to even be alive," the other teammate added. "Besides, that fire staff, it's gotta be worth at least 10,000 meso." Mac's eyes lit up with greed. "Let's get down to business." He plunged the knife down hard, straight through the blanket, but then Mac's eyes shot wide open. Confusion. He ripped the blanket away, and found nothing but a log with 2 pillows tied to each end. Total panic on Mac's face. Pommy was gone. The other 3 were just as shocked. This was something they had clearly not planned for. Chep completely lost his cool. He started screaming at his men, ordering them to find Pommy. And then boom! A massive explosion erupted right under Chep's feet. Flames engulfed their entire treetop base. Pommy stood on a branch a short distance away, watching the whole thing unfold. His former teammates were in a panic, clueless about where the fire came from. Confused and terrified, they scrambled to grab whatever supplies and food they could before bolting out of there. Chep cursed, wondering if Pommy was somehow behind all this. Then, right in front of them, a massive monster appeared. Its entire body was a horrifying, gooey yellow substance. It turned its gaze toward the group of men. The monster opened its massive maw and lunged. They all jumped out of the way just in the nick of time. And that's when it hit Chep. Pommy was using them as bait. The monster's attack completely obliterated their base. And Pommy just watched the whole show from the trees, a look of pure contempt on his face. He knew from the start. A gate with over 12 teams inside? Hiring veteran adventurers wouldn't even be enough. And these idiots actually thought they could use him as a decoy. Pommy's attention shifted to the monster now chasing the men below. Everywhere it went, trees came crashing down. Chep, running for his life, couldn't stop cursing his rotten luck. If he wasn't mistaken, that thing was a golden slime. A creature that rarely ever appears in the Windwood world. It's a rare monster that only shows up when a red gate opens. Its body is pure acid, making it a nightmare for any close-range fighter. This thing is deadly. And the worst part? Before Chep could even finish his warning, the monster was already powering up an acid attack. He screamed at the others, "Run!" The scarred guy's heart skipped a beat. A ranged attack. Where the acid hit, the ground just melted away, sinking into a sizzling pit. That move is called Acid Arrow, a nasty skill where it literally weaponizes its own body. And now, it was on the hunt, chasing them down. It kept firing, one acid bolt after another, right at their heels. Someone yelled, "How are we supposed to fight this thing?" Chep's answer, "We don't. We get out of here, now." The acid arrow has a 1-minute cooldown, Chep explained. "We just have to survive, then aim for the core in its head." That glowing orange orb inside the slime, that was the key. The moment the monster stopped to recharge, one guy got cocky. He turned right back around, charging straight for the slime, completely ignoring Chep's plan. He shouted back to his team, "Leave this thing to me," and sprinted forward. Chep screamed for everyone to charge together, but it was too late. Before anyone could react, zap! The fool was hit dead on by an acid arrow. His body just split in two. Gone. Chep was horrified. But there were still 10 seconds left on the cooldown, he thought. Then the slime unleashed a volley of acid bolts. Chep's team couldn't escape. The acid washed over them, melting them down to bone in seconds. And watching from behind a tree was El Palmy. The intel wasn't wrong, he thought, but there's a catch. A golden slime gets stronger by eating item fragments, which shortens its cooldown. You could even see the weapons it was absorbing. El Palmy sized it up. With that massive body and its devastating acid arrow skill, he finally got it. This is why all the other teams who came here got wiped out. The power level was just overwhelming. Looking at the trail of destruction it left behind, El Palmy realized this thing is strong enough to be a gold-level gate monster, twice the strength of a red gate monster. This was completely out of a First Circle Adventurers League. Because of it, this dungeon was probably picked clean of items. Looks like the mission's a bust. But then, he remembered Abus's words. Prove it. A smirk crossed his face. At the same time, the slime's gaze locked onto something. And then boom! A blast of fire tore through the air, punching a massive hole right through the slime. Acid splattered everywhere, melting the ground below. But the slime instantly regenerated, letting out an angry roar. From a tree branch above, El Palmy mused, "A direct hit on the core. Not bad. At this rate, I'll only need 4 more shots. No, scratch that, at least 5 more." A white fluid was leaking from the wound now. El Palmy gripped the dagger at his side. Well, he thought, that changes things. He raised his dagger, his voice ringing with confidence. "I'll prove it," the slime answered with an acid arrow. El Palmy dodged, leaping from the tree in a flash. The assault was relentless. But El Palmy was already in motion, dodging and throwing a dagger tied to a rope. With a sharp cry, he gripped the rope tight, activating his telekinesis ring. His mind was focused. This has to be a direct hit, no missing. A normal mage could never pull this off, but he wasn't normal. He was the best ranged fighter there is. One hand on the rope, the other gripping his staff, he countered the slime's attack. His rocket staff transformed, creating a bow of pure energy. Firebolt arrow! The flaming arrow slammed into the slime, making it stagger. It fired back with acid, but El Palmy was already airborne, using the rope to swing clear. 4 more to go, he thought. He fired again. Another direct hit with the firebolt arrow. 3 left, he counted, as the slime went into a furious rage. He weaved through its attacks with ease and launched another arrow. 2, he yelled. But this time, the slime dodged. El Palmy was surprised. It dodged? For something that big, it was fast. But then, he activated his telekinesis ring on the flying arrow. It's not over yet, he thought with a grin. The firebolt arrow suddenly changed course mid-air, striking the slime from behind. A direct hit. The core was finally exposed as El Palmy landed. He aimed his staff. Last shot. But the slime suddenly raised its massive arm, preparing for a devastating slam. With a quick glance, El Palmy used his ring, sending his roped dagger flying into the ground behind him. The slime smashed down where he'd been, but he was already gone. He used his legs to brace against the rope's tension and aimed his staff. Firebolt arrow. The slime raised its arm to block. El Palmy just smirked. He used the ring again. The arrow curved beautifully around the slime's arm, striking the exposed core head-on. A direct hit. Cracks began to spiderweb across the core's shell. The slime let out a final shriek as it began to glow, ready to self-destruct. A massive explosion erupted. El Palmy was already running as a tidal wave of acid poured out. He launched his dagger forward, using his telekinesis ring to wrap the rope around a distant branch. He swung high into the air, narrowly escaping the rushing river of acid below. Everywhere the acid touched was instantly destroyed. After the deadly flood finally cooled, smoke filled the air. Elpomi landed and looked around the wasteland until something caught his eye. A single, glowing red gem. Elpomi used his ring to pull it towards him. The moment it touched his hand, it pulsed with brilliant red light, surrounding him in a protective barrier. Back in the Adventurers Guildmaster's office, Elpomi announced, "I'm back." Abis took a long drag from his cigarette, staring at the adventurer sitting opposite him. "So, you're not just full of hot air, are you?" Abis said. "But why are you back alone? Where are the items?" Elpomi replied coolly. "The team you gave me. They were all rookies. They planned to jump me and steal all the loot." He closed his eyes. "When I split from the group to get away, they ran into the boss monster. They were all wiped out." "A boss monster?" Abis asked. Elpomi confirmed, "A golden slime." Hearing that, the guildmaster's eyes went wide. "What? If it was a golden slime, then all the items must be." "That's right," Elpomi cut in. "It swallowed every last one of them." Abis gritted his teeth. "Damn it! All the Merchant's Guild items are gone? The mission is a complete failure." He stared at Elpomi, his mind racing. "The problem is, this kid survived and got out. See, there are a few hard rules for these gates. Rule 1. Limited entry. Only those who've marked the gate pillar can get in, and after that, the gate is sealed until everyone inside is dead. Rule 2. The entry limit is based on the gate's difficulty and adventurer's circle level. Gate difficulty is shown by color. Red is easiest, purple is hardest. If your circle level is higher than the gate's difficulty, you can't get in. Simple as that. And Rule 3. You only get one shot. Clear the gate by beating its biggest threat. If even one person makes it out alive, the gate is destroyed. You can never go back. Which means, if he got out, the gate is gone for good. No one else can ever enter." Abis's thoughts swirled. So the gate has vanished. But how could a single circle hunter like him handle a golden slime? He sighed, blowing out smoke. "I get it. You were just focused on saving your own skin. Is that it?" He'd already written off the swallowed items, ignoring them completely. The mission was a failure. That's all that mattered. But then Elpomi spoke up. "Hold on. I'm not done talking." "What is it?" Abis asked. Elpomi unwrapped the binding on his arm, revealing something underneath. "The golden slime," he said. Abis's eyes went wide. "No. Impossible." Elpomi held up his arm, now marked with 2 glowing circles. "I consumed it." Abis was floored. 2 circles? You absorbed the mana stone from the golden slime? "I believe," Elpomi stated calmly. "This proves what I'm capable of. So, as promised, put my name on the roster." Abis gave his answer. D rank. Elpomi stared back, shocked. "What did you say?" Abis stepped closer to Elpomi. "I'll register you as D rank. No, scratch that. Work with me, and I'll make you a C rank adventurer." Without hesitation, Elpomi picked up the pen and signed. Taking a drag from his cigarette, Abis thought to himself. C rank was a huge stretch for an adventurer without even 3 circles. Usually, adventurer ranks are decided by the number of circles they have. The system was a pyramid. At the very top, you had the veteran A and B ranks. In the middle were the C and D ranks, the workhorses, and at the bottom, the E and F rank newbies. The number of circles was supposed to be the ultimate proof of power. But this kid? He was different. He jumped a level just by absorbing a single mana stone. Unheard of. And he claimed it was all just survival instinct? Abis let out a small, thoughtful smile. "Yeah, survival instinct. No, that wasn't right. This was raw, natural talent. To come back from the brink of death with a second circle already formed. Abis had never seen anything like it. I need this guy." A grin spread across his face. He'd just hit the jackpot. Elpomi noticed the sudden change in attitude. Seemed like the old man was finally warming up to him. Well, no time to waste, he thought. A red gate had appeared. A 100-person raid. A massive event that every merchant guild had their eyes on. And of course, the Gafo Merchant Guild was no exception. Elpomi set the pen down. "Well," he mused, "this doesn't hurt my plans at all. In fact," he thought, "this is the perfect opportunity to move my plan forward." He looked at Abis. "I have a proposal for you." Abis just grunted. "Spit it out." Elpomi held out his hand, his voice casual. "Lend me some money." On the outside, Abis kept his smile, but inside, he was raging. This damn kid has some nerve. People say the gates ushered in the age of adventurers, but that's a lie. It was all a trap set by the Dark Sorcerer, a meat grinder designed to wipe out the future of the World Tree and bring about the apocalypse. All those monsters inside, they're just waiting for the right moment to pour out, and when they do, we are guaranteed to lose. In exactly 3 years. The fate of the World Tree is sealed. Abus watched through the window, cigarette in hand, as El Palmi walked away. His other hand rested on the pouch of money beside him. It's not enough, El Palmi thought, but it's a good start. This 100-person gate was a red-level threat. Only those with 2 circles were even allowed to enter. Normally, the Gaffo Guild only backed high-rank adventurers. The only reason they'd invest in a 2-circle rookie like him? They were gunning for that specific gate. He'd managed to get some cash, but blowing it all on items would be idiotic. Gear appropriate for his level was way too expensive. Can I even buy anything useful with this amount, he wondered. Then, an idea struck him. El Palmi stopped walking. He was standing before the entrance to the Lee Slave Market. Looking up at the sign, he stepped inside. A man with long hair greeted him with a practiced smile. Welcome, valued customer. Thank you for choosing the Lee Slave Market. You're an adventurer, yes? Allow me to show you around. So, what kind of partner are you looking for? Some bait? A warrior to fight by your side? El Palmi shook his head. I need a guide. The man just stared, completely thrown off. Deep underground, the long-haired man led him down a dark corridor. This here is the punishment block, he explained. It's where we keep the defiant ones, like the guy you're looking for. He stopped and pointed to a cell. In here. Chained up inside was a man, slumped against the wall. The guide swallowed hard, turning back to El Palmi. Sir, are you sure you want him? This one's difficult. But El Palmi was certain. I know. He stepped closer to the bars. He's the one. Debo. The prisoner glared back, his eyes filled with pure hatred. Before I returned to the past, El Palmi remembered, one person's death sped up the destruction of the World Tree. The hero of the Calamity Pike, Iran. She was murdered. And her first and only disciple was the man who triggered the end of the world, the hero killer himself. Debo. It's him. You came for me? Debo sneered. He spat on the ground. Do I know you? Piss off. The guide quickly tried to smooth things over. My apologies, sir. His mind is a little. His behavior is different from how I remember, El Palmi thought. But right now, he's just a slave. Treating a potential buyer like this. He's got guts. I'll give him that. The guide sighed, exasperated. He's a complete mad dog. El Palmi smirked. It's not just his personality, he thought. His skills are just as crazy. After the apocalypse began, he was one of the few who stood out besides me, of course. We were always being compared. We came from the same region, awakened around the same time, and our power levels were neck and neck. But the biggest thing we had in common was this. El Palmi looked him in the eye. How much to buy you? Once he was unchained, Debo shot him an annoyed look. What, are you some rich kid? Think you can afford anything? He threw out a challenge. How about 1 million mel? Can you handle that, rich boy? El Palmi knew the truth. We're both desperate for cash. He remembered Debo had a sister suffering from the black blood disease. Debo scowled. No money? Then scram. Debo stopped mid-sentence as El Palmi calmly pulled out a thick wad of cash. His jaw dropped. El Palmi held it up. 1 million mel? For real? Debo yelled. That's not counterfeit, is it? Even the guide was shocked. Are you serious? Hold on, El Palmi said, looking at Debo. Listen to my terms first. The contract is for 1 year, profit share is 70-30, and I get first pick of any items from the gates. The guide was baffled. This isn't a slave contract. It's a party contract. El Palmi produced a document. Here it is. Read it. Debo snatched the paper. You better not be lying. Without a second thought, he bit his own thumb and slammed the bloody print onto the contract. He agreed without even hesitating, El Palmi noted. Must be because his sister's life is on the line. He smiled. Now that the deal is sealed, let's head to the gate. Debo cracked his knuckles. Just point me the way. El Palmi gave him a hard look. You better prove you were worth the price, Debo. Debo just scoffed. You'll never see anyone work harder than me. Out in the forest, Debo trailed behind, holding a massive axe. Look, boss, I appreciate the new weapon, but I'm a longsword user. Can we go back and swap this thing? El Palmi didn't even turn around. From now on, you'll learn how to use a calamity pike. If you don't like it, he added, we can always break the contract. Debo just grunted in annoyance. So what, you're testing me with this gate? El Palmi glanced at the pillar. Red level. And the entry limit had dropped to just 8 people. Looks like we're in the right place. Debo looked around, confused. Where's the rest of our party? A boss with your kind of cash must have some top-tier teammates, right? He kept looking around. Okay, at the very least, you brought a healer, didn't you? A fight's a fight, but a healer makes everything better. El Palmi turned back to look at Debo. Debo was confused. What's that look for? Why are you staring at me? He asked, a little worried. Wait, don't tell me. But his boss, El Pami, just said, "Don't worry about teammates. We have enough people." Debo clutched his chest, sighing in relief. Knew it. Just scaring myself again. El Pami raised a hand, pointing straight at Debo. You. Debo stared blankly. What? Me? He yelled. Wait, no way. But El Pami just shoved him straight into the portal, saying, "Stop wasting time. Get in there." Debo screamed as the portal spat them out. He face-planted hard. Ah, are you crazy? He yelled, furious. That gate was for 8 people. What is wrong with you? Do you think this is some kind of joke? And besides, I have to use this weapon. El Pami just frowned as Debo stammered on. But suddenly, a loud noise erupted nearby. A massive cloud of dust kicked up as they moved. Debo's voice was tense. They're stumps. He gripped his halberd, thinking, oh great, this is all my fault. These things were notorious for their tough hides. Swords and spears could barely scratch them, and now they were facing a whole swarm. El Pami stepped forward. Get out of the way. Debo tried to stop him. Wait, hold on. But El Pami had already unleashed his fire arrow. One of the stumps took the hit, losing half its face. It barely had time to screech before it went down. Debo was in shock as one fire arrow after another wiped out the entire horde. The whole swarm of stumps was annihilated in the blink of an eye. El Pami said, "What a disappointment. We just got here and you're already like this. Don't make that mistake again." Debo just stared at him. He thought to himself, who is this monster? The scene changes. That evening, at some fancy mansion, a woman in armor is kneeling to report. The merchants have taken the bait. The plan will take more time, but the people we're sending have already been chosen. A man holding a wine glass stared out the window. The woman asked, "So, should we proceed with the operation?" The man, his eyes glowing red, simply answered, "Yes." The woman bowed her head and left. The white-haired man raised his glass of red wine. Everything will proceed according to that person's will. He will liberate the Arbor Mundi. Back on the field, the stumps lay scattered everywhere. Debo held up a bag of their mana stones. 27 of them. I've collected all the mana stones. El Pami just grunted. Good. Let's go. Debo quickly replied. Yes, sir. The two walked under the scorching desert sun. Debo thought to himself, I thought he was crazy, but this guy is on a whole other level. Was that a remote control skill? I've never seen anyone use fire arrows like that. Debo smirked. Traveling with someone this skilled meant he was about to get seriously paid. Awesome. A 70-30 split would cover his medical bills and living expenses. There, El Pami said. The two of them hid behind a rock formation. Debo peeked out. Another group of stumps. Looks like 8. No, 9 of them. El Pami replied. A perfect number. Debo was confused. Huh? What do you mean? El Pami just stared him down. Suddenly, a loose rock fell, waking up the entire pack of stumps. Debo leaped from above, halberd in hand, and sliced one of the monsters clean in two. The whole swarm went wild. Debo thought, crap, I have to fight them myself? I've never used this weapon before. This is a huge pain. He felt like even 10 lives wouldn't be enough for this. Debo shouted while blocking their attacks. You damn boss. From a distance, El Pami stood watching, analyzing him. He noted, he's used to swords. No wonder his movements are so awkward. But he'll soon see that the halberd is the weapon that will make him stronger than ever. There was no need to doubt his talent, because he was the only one chosen to be the student of the halberd hero, Iran. A stump roared, and Debo cut it down with a single, powerful strike. He was surprised. Whoa, this halberd is strong, and its attack range is huge. This might be even better than a sword, and when I relax my grip, it feels even lighter. So what if I hold it like this? Debo changed his grip on the halberd, and sliced another stump in half. He then moved fluidly, wiping out the rest of them. El Pami crossed his arms, thinking, he learns fast. To have this much skill even before his awakening, Debo suddenly stopped. The rocks above him started to crack and crumble. Then, a massive tree branch burst out from the ground, swinging right at him. Debo looked up. What the? He screamed. It's a Stampy! The giant Stampy attacked Debo. Luckily, El Pami saved him, shoving him aside. He then raised his fire staff and said, It's just big. That makes it an easier target. El Pami launched a fire arrow. Debo thought, that's more like it. Time for some magic. But the Stampy used its own branches to block the attack. Debo was shocked. It blocked it. El Pami created another fire arrow while activating his telekinesis ring. He thought, it reacted faster than I expected. How about this? Remote control. Activate. The fire arrow flew in circles around the Stampy, then looped around to its back. Just one hit is all I need, El Palmy thought. But somehow, the Stampy blocked that too. El Palmy was stunned. It blocked that one as well? The two of them started running for their lives. Debo yelled, "So magic is useless too? What are you standing there for? Run if you don't want to die." El Palmy was thinking. It's not that the attack was useless. It shouldn't have been able to block the fire arrow. The problem is those branches. The Stampy stabbed its branches into the ground, and the two heroes leaped to dodge. The monster continued its relentless assault. El Palmy quickly used his telekinesis ring to control a giant boulder. He and Debo landed on it, narrowly dodging the Stampy's attack. Then, El Palmy called out, "Debo, you handle the little stumps," he ordered. Debo replied, "Wait, when did?" But El Palmy was already on the move. "I'll take care of the Stampy." He leaped off, leaving Debo stunned. Huh? Wait, how is he so fast? El Palmy launched a fire arrow straight at the Stampy. From a distance, Debo thought, "No, you can't beat it without a solid plan. We have to run." A massive explosion erupted. Still, the Stampy managed to block the attack. Debo thought, "See? I knew it." But then El Palmy's fire arrow managed to injure one of the Stampy's eyes. Debo watched, his heart pounding. He got a hit in. El Palmy launched another arrow, thinking, "Its branches are more agile than I thought, making it hard to dodge an attack with remote control. But now that I'm at level 2, I can cast twice." With a single shot, El Palmy pierced one of the Stampy's branches, making it scream in pain. While fighting off the smaller stumps, Debo watched the main event. Unbelievable. There was another arrow hidden behind the first one. No matter how fast it is, it can't dodge consecutive attacks like that. Even the giant Stampy couldn't handle it. This guy was more than a monster. Debo's focus suddenly shifted. He thought, "Wait, no." The smaller stumps were getting close to El Palmy. He screamed, "Behind you, watch your back." Crap, he thought. There were too many of them. I let a few slip past. El Palmy wiped out the incoming stumps with a casual fire arrow. He turned and scowled. "Debo, you can't even handle these little guys?" The Stampy saw its chance, attacking while El Palmy was distracted. El Palmy jumped back, thinking, "The second I let my guard down." One of the Stampy's branches was about to smash him, but Debo grabbed El Palmy's shoulder and shoved him back. "Ha!" he yelled, using his halberd to sever the Stampy's branch. Debo turned back, grinning. "Ha! I just saved your life. Aren't you going to take back what you said?" El Palmy just smiled. He seriously held up his staff, forming 2 fire arrows at once. "All right," he said. "You're finally pulling your weight." Together, they shouted, "Let's do this." El Palmy gave the final command. "Okay. Attack." El Palmy unleashed both fire arrows, and another one of the Stampy's branches got completely obliterated. The monster roared in pain as El Palmy's arrows flew, and at the exact same moment, Debo closed the distance. Slice. Debo's halberd severed one of Stampy's limbs, while El Palmy's arrow curved around to destroy another one. El Palmy thought in surprise, an attack from both sides. He called out, "I'll take the right." Debo gripped his weapon and shot back. "Then the left is all mine." The two of them moved in perfect sync, attacking at the exact same time. Debo leaped into the air, slicing through 3 of Stampy's branches. But then another limb whipped out from behind, smashing into him. He cried out in pain, stumbling to his knees and coughing up blood. Debo plummeted to the ground, screaming, "El Palmy!" Down below, El Palmy summoned a slab of rock to catch him, but Stampy shattered it instantly, sending Debo falling once again. El Palmy thought, "Okay, this is getting messy." He levitated the surrounding rocks into platforms. Debo made a rough landing on one, ducking just in time to dodge another attack. "Damn," he muttered. "That was way too close." Stampy destroyed the rock Debo was standing on, but he was already airborne, leaping to another platform. El Palmy's arrows zipped around the monster's head, forcing it to turn away, distracted. "Let's finish this, Debo," El Palmy yelled. Debo charged forward, plunging his halberd right into Stampy's eye. The beast roared in agony, slamming Debo against a cliff face. He pushed off the wall, screaming, "It's not over, you damn monster." El Palmy clenched his fist, using his telekinetic ring to control the halberd still buried in Stampy's eye. He yanked his hand back, and the halberd ripped free from the monster's socket, flying straight back to Debo. Catching it, Debo grinned, open wide. "I've still got dessert for you." With a final slash, he took out Stampy's remaining eye. The monster shrieked in pain as Debo jumped clear, landing safely on the ground. Stampy's massive jaw hung wide open. El Palmy fired 2 arrows that flew straight down the monster's throat, and its core began to crack and shatter. The beast was consumed by fire. Debo gasped for breath, El Palmy walked over. Nice fight. Debo nodded. You too. The two of them stood and watched as Stampy burned to ashes. The scene changes. The moon is high in the sky, but one house still has its lights on. Debo's little sister sat at the dining table. It's so late, she said to herself. I should just eat first and go to bed. She closed her eyes to say grace. Thank you for the meal. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. She turned around and went to open it. Who is it? She asked. Her eyes went wide with shock. Debo was standing there, covered in wounds. Brother, she cried out. He just smiled. I'm home. Her little hands clenched the fabric of her dress. With tears in her eyes, she threw her arms around her brother. Welcome home. Meanwhile, in his own house, El Palmy had also returned. He walked inside and looked towards someone lying in bed, a photo of him and another person on the nightstand. Elsewhere, Abis sat in his office, staring intently at a document in his hands, lost in thought. He sighed. This whole thing. He grimaced, rubbing his temples with a pipe clenched in his teeth. The subjugation of the high-grade gate for 100 adventurers is almost here. But who should I send? Sir Rock is in charge of this. If I disappoint him. Abis muttered to himself, thinking about the upcoming raid. This subjugation was a huge event, with all 10 of the major guilds participating. The reason it was so popular? The items inside could potentially be rare drops, maybe even legendary. He pressed the smoldering end of his pipe into an ashtray. Of course, that also means the difficulty is off the charts. The 3 Natasha sisters from their guild, the Golden Richie, they possessed unbelievable skills, with 1 or 2 magic circles. Compared to them, the adventurers from the Gaff Miners Guild, who also had 2 circles, were a complete joke. To be blunt, the manpower of the other 10 major guilds, including Golden Richie, was incredibly strong. Among them, their guild was the one with the worst reputation and the weakest members. He clutched the paper with El Palmy's picture, hesitating as he mumbled, I'm not so sure, but… Suddenly, the door to his office was thrown open. Who dares enter without knocking? Abis growled, annoyed. But when he saw who had walked in, he froze. He shot to his feet, stammering the man's name. Sir. Karan. Karan immediately cut to the chase. How is the member selection for the gate team coming along? Abi stepped aside, offering his chair to Karan. He bowed his head and reported, I'm sorry. It's still not. Hearing that answer, Karan looked deeply displeased. He chastised him. You're working a bit slow, Abis. Not like you at all. What about those adventurers you mentioned before? Abis quickly replied, regarding El Palmy, I'm still quite worried about him. Trep's entire party died, and there's no way to confirm what happened in there without any witnesses. He might be genuinely skilled, but for something this important, we need to be certain. Karan's calm voice cut through the air. Then why don't you just test him again? A worried expression crossed Abis's face as Karen continued. It's not like this event will only happen once, right? We can just form a team of prospects we want to evaluate. Have them conquer a random gate nearby. Karan grinned, a dangerous glint in his eye. His voice dropped to a low rasp. Quite a few people will go in, and that way, we'll find out everything we need to know about them. The scene shifts to a glowing red gate, where a large number of adventurers have gathered. To participate in today's event, one man cheered excitedly. Whoa, look, there are so many adventurers this time. Suddenly, a group of people approached El Palmy. You part of the South Asia group? They asked. A man named Iburu gritted his teeth in annoyance. 2 slaves? El Palmy didn't answer, just stared them down coldly. He looked at them and thought, no matter how you slice it, we are not welcome here. To adventurers like them, slaves are just a nuisance, that's the unwritten rule, especially among experienced adventurer parties. He thought grimly. It seems they're true, fully awakened 2-circle magic users. They look much stronger than Trep's old team. Which means they're strong enough that they don't need to use slaves as bait. Just then, Abbas appeared and spoke. Is everyone here? El Palmy was surprised. He came here himself? Abis, with his pipe still in his mouth, announced the rules loud and clear. I'll make this short. The test will begin in a few minutes. Whoever demonstrates their potential will be given an opportunity. Iburu asked, confused. What kind of opportunity? Abis's voice boomed. The opportunity to participate in the 100-man gate subjugation. All the adventurers were completely stunned, especially Iburu, who gasped along with the others. The 100-man gate? Abis added. Show me your true strength in this gate, and you'll receive special treatment. El Palmy's expression remained like ice. He thought to himself, so that was his plan. On a tree next to the red gate, the number 40 appeared. Abis shouted, Now, do your best. The red gate flashed with a bright light, and all the adventurers began to walk through it. After stepping through the gate, Iburu grumbled in disappointment. Another forest gate? He glanced at Dulan and declared, I'll only cooperate when we're fighting the boss. Everyone split off into their own teams, scattering around the area. His voice echoed, split up and scout everything. We'll reassemble at the signal. And of course, El Palmi and Debo formed their own team. With his team, Dulan's voice was cold as he gave the order, we don't have much time. Focus on the hunt. The girl behind him replied excitedly, Yes, sir, Dulan. With his keen eyes, Dulan had already spotted their target, a mushroom monster, and it was heading right for them. Someone complained, sounding bored. Is there only one monster? Dulan raised his staff to cast a spell, grumbling in annoyance. What a waste of time. He launched a blue orb at the monster, so powerful it caused a huge explosion, sending rock and dirt flying everywhere. 2 words came to Dulan's mind. So boring. He gave another order, grab its magic stone and let's go. As the dust settled, the monster's silhouette slowly reappeared. After that massive explosion, the monster was completely unharmed, not a single scratch on it. A team member shouted in shock, What? It took no damage at all? Dulan's face paled as he gasped, It's strong enough to resist a tier 1 spell? But whatever, there's a lot of us. Suddenly, the wind picked up, shaking the trees around them. Dulan frowned, shouting a warning. Something's wrong. Everyone, be careful. It wasn't just one mushroom monster. Now, dozens of them were emerging, surrounding the 4 of them completely. Dulan yelled, Damn it, we're totally boxed in. Instantly, several sword slashes flashed through the air, and with just a few swings, the mushroom monster was taken down. After defeating it, everyone was panting from exhaustion, looking at the dead monsters scattered across the ground. The girl in the group yelled out in a panic, Sir Dulan, these things are stronger than we thought. What do we do? Dulan frowned, his expression serious. We're facing an insane number of monsters. At this rate, we'll burn out fast. The girl's face grew even more terrified when he added, And if that happens, our lives will be on the line. Forget the plan. We need to go for the boss alone, and fast, before these mobs drain all our strength. Elsewhere, Aopaimi spoke with a cool frown. Most of the other groups are probably thinking the same thing. After taking down a monster, Debo was breathing heavily, his voice trembling. That actually makes sense. Hope it works. But, why are you just standing there talking instead of helping me? Aopaimi replied with a lazy tone. It's only 3 monsters. Debo said cautiously. Still, you're the one who said we have to use our time wisely and conserve energy. Aopaimi shot back. Right. Let's keep moving. Debo's face turned serious, his brow furrowed with determination. Let's go take down the boss. With that same cold attitude, Aopaimi replied, Clear the mobs first. Debo looked confused and asked again, Huh? What was that? Didn't you just say we should go kill the boss? Aopaimi gave him a weary look and explained, That's what everyone else is doing. So we're going to clear mobs first. Killing the boss isn't the only way to get points, your ability to clear out the small fry counts too. Besides, the more people who gather at the boss, the more dangerous it gets there. You never know what schemes those people are hiding. Not every plan is obvious. Some people are always plotting something in the shadows. Debo scowled, thinking to himself, Wow, does this guy think he's always right? Aopaimi looked up at the sky, adding, And I've got a really bad feeling about this place. In another part of the forest, Dulan's team was still on the move. The girl on his team noticed something and called out, Sir Dulan, look. Dulan looked where she was pointing. An exit. I didn't think we'd find one this fast. Doesn't matter. Mark this spot. She immediately replied, Yes, sir. Suddenly, Evan let out a scream. Dulan whipped his head around, annoyed. What is wrong with him? Hey, Evan, shut your mouth. But Evan just let out a bizarre, loud laugh. Enraged, Dulan grabbed him, yelling, Didn't you hear me? You're going to attract every monster around here. Evan turned around, his whole body trembling, with tears, snot, and sweat covering his face. Dulan was stunned, a single thought echoing in his mind. What the hell? All 4 of them panicked, scattering and screaming in terror. Dulan quickly realized what was happening. He covered his mouth and nose, thinking, Poison gas. This is bad. I need to get out of here now. He sprinted towards the exit they had just found. But suddenly, another mushroom monster appeared, chasing him from behind. So that was the source the poison gas was coming from its body. Dulan's eyes widened in fear as he glanced back at it. The mushroom monster opened its mouth wide, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Dulan was so terrified he dropped his hand from his face and let out a strangled cry. His face twisted in pure horror, eyes wide, completely speechless. Far below the cliff, the river's surface churned with violent waves. Aopaimi and Debo were walking along the river cliff. Debo followed behind, thinking with frustration. We barely fought at all yesterday, so should I. He suddenly noticed something and looked up at the sky. It was a red signal flare, fired from somewhere deep in the forest. Debo gasped in surprise. Whoa, a signal flare. They must have found the boss. After seeing the signal, the two of them headed toward the gathering point. As they walked, Debo voiced his doubts. Even though we agreed to fire a signal for the boss, I can't believe they actually did it. With his usual icy demeanor, Eopaimi scanned the other adventurers gathered there. Looking them over, he knew something was off, thinking, one team is missing. A man named Iburu stood with his arms crossed arrogantly. He sighed, then said in a commanding voice, looks like everyone's here. I'll explain the situation. Reber immediately cut in. The Mage Dulan squad isn't here yet. Iburu snapped back impatiently. Forget them, we've waited long enough. He shouted in frustration, we found the boss's location. He then recalled the horrific scene he witnessed and continued his story. And we also saw Dulan's entire team get wiped out by it. The boss. It's a raging spore tyrant. Debo's face went pale with terror as he screamed, what? A raging spore tyrant? The other adventurers started murmuring nervously among themselves. We're in deep trouble. Even with a crowd this big, I'm not sure we can take that thing down. Is that it? Ibururu said, his voice laced with worry. Damn it, Elpame. The boss monster is camped right in front of the exit. We have to fight it if we want out. Hearing that, Debo's confidence surged. He puffed out his chest and scoffed, You scared of that thing? A couple of bugs are nothing. One fire missile from my boy here, but he didn't get to finish. Debo. Shut your mouth. Elpame cut in sharply. Debo seethed, unable to do anything but grit his teeth and curse under his breath. You bastard! Elpame explained calmly. We'll die if we just rush in blind. My fire missiles can't even scratch it. Debo's face was pure shock. He screamed, What? Why not? Elpame's cold voice explained the grim reality. Even the small fry in here are tough as nails. The boss is going to be 10 times tougher. Ibururu sighed, frowning. He's just stating the obvious. That's why the slaves. The man next to him cut in urgently. Ibururu, we don't have time to complain. We need a solution. Now. Suddenly, Elpame raised his hand, his voice chillingly calm. 50,000 mesos. What? Ibururu blurted out, stunned. Elpame continued his negotiation. 50,000 mesos per person. There are 30 of you here, so that's 1.5 million mesos. He pointed back at Debo. Give me the money, and the two of us will act as bait while you all escape. The moment he finished, dead silence. Ibururu grabbed his hair in a panic, his mind racing. Damn it, what the hell is he talking about? Don't be so arrogant, Ibururu's angry voice boomed. He glared daggers at Elpame. You're still stuck in your slave mentality, but things aren't that simple. This boss can't be baited like the others. If it catches and kills you while we're moving, we'll all die with you. Slaves in a high-level gate are just dead weight. Then he pointed a finger, mocking him. Besides, what can that guy next to you even do? He hasn't even had his awakening yet. A slave and a two-circle mage? What good are you? Debo knew it was a taunt, but he couldn't help his anger. He gritted his teeth. These bastards. They're humiliating me. It's a trick to get me to be bait, but I'm not falling for it. Elpame shot back. So what's your plan? You have a better idea? Iburu was caught off guard and stammered. Huh? Well, seeing him hesitate, Elpame pressed on. You don't, do you? If you did, you never would have sent that signal. He crossed his arms. And just to be clear, my team consists of one two-circle mage and one one-circle mage. The second he said it, a glowing ring materialized on Debo's right wrist. Debo stared in disbelief, shouting, When did I awaken? But his shock quickly turned to pure joy. What is this? Since when? Haha, I'm a freaking genius. Elpame pressed Ibururu. Your team doesn't have two mages, does it? Ibururu wanted to argue, but he couldn't. All he could do was growl in frustration. Wait, a voice called out. It was Jibel. She placed a hand on her chest. If you can really pull this off, I'll pay. However, we don't have that much money on us. Not a problem, Elpame said, his tone unwavering. We'll collect after we get out, so if we don't make it, you don't lose a thing. He opened his eyes, looking at them all. But everyone here has to agree. As they hesitated, he pushed them. Decide now. Meanwhile, in the passage Dulan's team found, a toxic purple gas filled the air. The boss monster stood blocking the path, slowly, consuming Dulan's corpse. Suddenly, a gust of wind kicked up nearby. It turned its head just as a fire missile slammed into it. The blast hit the bug monster square in the face, causing a massive explosion before it could react. Purple smoke filled the air. Elpame gave the order. Debo, we move the second it sees us. Debo was still annoyed. Are we really doing this? But the monster wasn't dead. A piercing red light flared from its eyes as it locked onto them. In an instant, it charged. Here it comes, Elpame warned. They both bolted in the other direction. Debo glanced back and yelled, "How is it so fast?" With its long legs, the monster closed the distance in seconds, its massive jaw filled with razor-sharp teeth wide open. It was right on their heels. The purple-haired girl shouted, "Now, everyone, go! Activate the gate before those two get killed." A man next to the portal slammed the activation button. A bright blue light erupted from it. Instantly, a swirling blue vortex appeared. "Summon it! Hurry!" Jibble yelled. On the other side of the cave, the chase was still on. The boss was relentless. Debo grimaced. Just then, other smaller mushroom monsters lunged at him. He cursed in frustration. Damn it. You think I'm an easy meal?" He gripped his axe, channeling magic into the blade until it burst into flames. Debo raised the fiery axe high and roared, "Get lost!" He brought it down in a powerful arc, slicing through the monsters and burning them to a crisp. Just then, the boss monster opened its blood-stained maw, ready to devour Debo whole. Without missing a beat, Elpame blasted it with another fire missile, pushing it back as they kept running. The boss roared in fury. Elpame immediately launched another spell. "Here's another one!" he yelled. But this time, the monster dodged. Not giving up, Elpame used another spell, trying to steer the attack into the creature, but it leaped into the air, avoiding the hit. No matter how many spells Elpame threw, the monster was agile enough to dodge every single one, and then it was charging them again. "Ah, it's gaining on us," Debo screamed in a panic. Up ahead, a cliff. "Jump," Elpame yelled. Together, they leaped off the edge. The monster swiped its claws, trying to grab Debo. "Hey, you stupid bastard," Debo yelled, taunting it. He flipped it off with a huge grin. "Eat this." Right behind him, Elpame raised his fire staff, unleashing one final, powerful fire spell. Elpame watched, his face expressionless, as the explosion hit. His missile slammed directly into the monster, creating a massive blast that sent rock and debris flying everywhere. They quickly moved to get clear. The monster's body crashed into the river below with a deafening splash. The strong current immediately began to carry it downstream. Debo dropped to his knees, panting heavily. Damn mushrooms. Almost died. After floating down the river, they managed to climb ashore. While Debo was still catching his breath, Elpame calmly wrung out his cloak. Debo gasped for air, asking, "What in the world are those things?" Elpame wrung out his cloak and answered, "Haven't you heard? That's the boss monster around here. Looks like we'll need a better plan if we want to take it down." Debo was stunned to hear him say that, and he stammered out a question. "Another boss? Are you saying we're actually going to fight that thing?" "I didn't hear you right, did I?" Elpame replied calmly. "Oh, you heard me perfectly." Debo shuddered and screamed in horror. "Are you messing with me?" Elpame just looked at him, his voice ice cold. "What's the problem? Didn't we come here to hunt monsters?" Debo, his face a mask of terror, yelled back. "That was before we knew there was a poison mushroom boss here. Don't you know when to retreat?" With that same flat tone, Elpame's chilly voice cut in. "You can't re-enter the gate once you leave." Debo growled through his teeth, spitting out each word. "I know that." He couldn't understand it. Weren't they supposed to get out of here after being the bait? How could they possibly kill that boss when even magic missiles had no effect on it? Didn't he say they'd die if they fought that thing? Elpame closed his eyes. "The situation has changed. The competition is over, so now we get bonus rewards for this." "Isn't that great?" He looked down and added, "You're talking about danger. Are you trying to break our contract?" Debo froze, thinking hard. He opened his mouth to say something, then stood up, scratching his head. "I wasn't thinking about that at all. You're going to pay me more for this, right?" A small smirk appeared on Elpame's face as he answered, "Of course." Hearing what he wanted, Debo pressed on. "At least tell me how we kill it when arrows and swords don't work." Elpame's voice was sharp. "I have no intention of dying here." Debo looked shocked, then hesitant. "There's a way?" He stared into Elpame's terrifyingly calm eyes, asking, "A way? To kill that thing?" The scene changes to the red gate. Seeing everyone else emerge, Abbas looked surprised, muttering to himself, They're already out? For a 30-person gate, didn't they clear it a little too fast?" He approached the purple-haired girl and asked, "Jebber, what happened in there? Looks like a few people are missing. Are they still inside? They haven't come out yet?" Jebber, gasping for breath, yelled, We failed to clear the gate. She struggled to regain her composure and explained. Dulan's team was wiped out, and El Pami is still inside. We only escaped because he and the others acted as bait for us. The boss in there is impossible to handle. It's just too strong. Abis's face darkened as he listened to her report. He frowned, letting out a sharp, "Umph," his voice dripping with anger. "So you did nothing but run away?" Jebber quickly shouted her explanation. "The boss is a rampage spore mushroom. It's too powerful. We couldn't do anything." Abis threw his pipe to the ground and crushed it with his foot. He turned to leave, saying decisively, "We're going back." Jebber, confused, yelled out, "Sir Abis, wait!" She pointed at the portal, her face twisted in a desperate plea. "El Pami's team hasn't come out yet. The gate is still open. They might be alive." Abis remained completely cold, his voice flat. "They won't survive. It's just a matter of time. Didn't you say it yourself? The boss is a rampage spore mushroom, correct?" Jebber was speechless as Abis continued in that freezing tone. "If you want to wait, you can wait by yourself. I don't have the time." With that, he thought disdainfully, "Useless trash. Well, they were unlucky to run into that mushroom boss here." He walked away with his two subordinates thinking, the two remaining groups taking down that monster? Impossible. Time to cut our losses. I don't want to waste any more time on average adventurers like them. Inside the gate, the mushroom boss was still alive, even after falling into the river. Abis's thoughts continued. What I want is an adventurer who can defeat a creature like that. El Pami stood on a cliff, transforming his magic rocket staff into a bow. He drew it back, aiming a magic fire arrow toward the mushroom boss. El Pami's expression was completely unreadable as he thought, someone who can make the impossible possible. He whispered to himself, "Let the hunt begin," and released his powerful fire arrow. It shot like a rocket toward the forest. This boss was faster and tougher than anything they had ever faced before. On top of that, it used a poisonous fog that spread through the air, making it incredibly difficult to handle. In that case, it's best to keep your distance and attack from afar. El Pami activated his telekinesis skill, calculating. His standard magic missiles just weren't strong enough, but by using telekinesis to twist the arrow, he could drastically increase its piercing power. The magic arrow flew onward as El Pami remained lost in thought. This was a technique he could only pull off in the Wind Arbor world. It was the only thing he could think of to face this rampage spore mushroom, a skill to make the impossible possible, giving him a real chance to actually win. In an instant, the fire arrow reached the boss. El Pami mentally named the technique, Fire Spear. The mushroom boss roared, its mouth wide open as the fire spear flew straight towards it. The spear pierced its body, causing the monster to let out a blood-curdling scream that echoed through the forest. It thrashed around wildly, creating a massive explosion. The smoke cleared to reveal it was barely damaged. A few nearby trees were burning, and its left arm had been blown off. Seeing this, El Pami was a bit disappointed, thinking, I tried to pierce its head in one shot, but it looks like I missed. He muttered quietly under his breath. This is going to be a problem. The monster's left arm instantly regenerated. It flew into a rage, screaming as it charged straight towards El Pami's position. A light from another magic rocket appeared. El Pami launched another fire spear to attack it. He thought tiredly, it's tough using this skill while trying to find a better vantage point. Plus, the cooldown time for fire spear is way too long. He focused, launching another attack, determined. I have to finish this boss before it reaches me, but somehow, it still managed to dodge the attack. Down below the cliff, Debo was waiting in ambush. The mushroom boss opened its mouth and let out a pained shriek. El Pami immediately roared out the command. Now! Debo gripped the rope in his hands and pulled with all his might. The other end was tied to a tree on the opposite side. The tightened rope tripped the mushroom boss, sending it tumbling down into a mud pit below the cliff. It struggled to stand, covered in thick mud. El Pami looked down from above with an ice-cold stare. The monster, furious, was about to charge him. That's when Debo yelled out a taunt. Hey, you smelly mushroom! His sharp axe came flying from behind. Hearing the sound, the monster turned its head just in time for the axe to slam right into its face. Debo's surprise attack sends the monster staggering, completely off balance, as the axe flies right back into his hand. Watching the poison mushroom boss struggle, a grin spreads across Debo's face. Finally, he says, I can breathe a little easier. He waves his hand tauntingly. The air's much cleaner now. How about we play for a bit? Debo readies his axe. The colossal beast stalked closer. El Pami watched, calculating. Were the conditions right? The key to this whole strategy? Luring it into the swamp. See, monster hunting is all about neutralizing your prey's advantages. Once it's stuck in the mire, its greatest weapon is gone. And right on cue, the monster roared, baring its fangs and claws. Debo's eyes burned with resolve as he shouted, "What's wrong? Can't do anything with your pores all clogged up? How pathetic." He roared and slammed his massive halberd straight into the beast. Then, with practiced ease, he released his grip on the weapon. Now, holding a long rope, he unleashed another devastating strike. The towering monster staggered back, heavily wounded. It slumped to the ground, exhausted. But Debo? No mercy. He unleashed another powerful attack, even hurling his halberd forward. The weapon grazed the monster's body. As he fought, Debo explained, "We didn't drag this thing here just to clog its pores. A murky swamp like this? It's the worst possible battlefield for any monster that relies on pure speed." Just as the beast struggled to its feet, he unleashed a powerful skill. This was his fire spear. A torrent of power from the fiery lance slammed straight into its head, forming a vortex of flames it couldn't possibly defend against. Debo seized the opening, hammering it with another halberd strike. He stared it down and demanded, "Are you dead yet?" Staring at the smoldering wreckage, Debo cursed, "Damn leech. This thing is tough." Just then El Palmi shouted, "Go for its magic core. That weak spot. It must be in its head." Debo yelled back, "Got it." He immediately swung his halberd again, aiming for a direct hit on the core. Debo leaped high, channeling all his strength for the finishing blow. But then he stopped. "Huh?" He froze mid-attack, shouting, "El Palmi!" A massive log, controlled by El Palmi, came flying towards the monster's core. Wham! The timber slammed directly into the beast with brutal force. The monster reeled, dazed. Debo instantly jumped up, stomping its head for extra damage, then flipped back to land safely. Dust exploded everywhere, but the monster was still getting up. From his hands, El Palmi began channeling his power again. Two massive energy fields appeared above the creature's head, and then its body was ripped apart, spraying sticky green goo everywhere. Through the shower of slimy green fluid, Debo's silhouette appeared, axe in hand, ready to strike. Its mangled face dripped with slime as it struggled up, lashing out. But as it raised its sharp-taloned hand, Debo's halberd struck first. Debo's eyes were filled with sheer determination. He brought his halberd down with one final, mighty blow. The monster's head flew off, splashing into the swamp. And then, the headless body shot straight back up. Debo, exhausted, was in the middle of giving El Palmi a triumphant thumbs up. El Palmi smiled back. But suddenly, Debo's eyes went wide with horror. His hand was still frozen in that victory pose, but the smile was gone from his face. The monster swung its claws, sending Debo face-planting into the mud. His halberd slipped from his grasp, sinking into the mire. It rose up, enraged, claws ready. Only El Palmi was left standing. He tensed up. What's going on? Didn't its head just get chopped off? His hands prepared to unleash fire magic. Boom! A fire spell blasted the creature. Debris flew everywhere as the area filled with thick smoke, but the monster was unfazed. It just stood up. Again. El Palmi, channeling green energy, knew something was seriously wrong. He used his power to control a massive chunk of rock beneath the monster. And then, boom! The rock launched the beast into the air. It plummeted down into a deep chasm. But a moment later, it was climbing right back up, leaving El Palmi in pure disbelief. Fire arrow staff! El Palmi grimaced. He only had one shot left. No cooldown, which meant he couldn't afford to waste this. He gritted his teeth in frustration. And then a shout echoed from below. "I've had enough of this." Debo erupted from the swamp, halberd in hand. He unleashed a savage barrage of attacks on the hideous creature. It tried to flee, but a storm of slashes relentlessly tore into its back. The monster was knocked straight back into the mud. Debo laughed. "Heh, that'll teach ya." But his victory was short-lived. What the? The monster shot out of the swamp, flying into the air. El Palmi fired off a spell, shouting, "Debo, watch out!" The blast tore open the creature's stomach, and from inside, two blood-red eyes stared out. A bizarre skull was revealed. El Palmi smirked. "So that's your real head. Thanks for showing me." Just then, El Palmi switched weapons. In his hand was a smoking gun. Debo looked up, shocked. A flare gun? Was that last attack just a feint? He brought out the fire arrow staff again. Boom! A fiery lance shot towards the real head El Palmi had just exposed. The fire combined with the blast, creating a massive vortex, pierced by that same green energy. El Palmi's attack completely obliterated the monster into 100 pieces. Through the thick smoke, Debo sighed. What a pain till the very end. Suddenly, he was launched into the air, landing right next to El Palmi. He bent over, exhausted. "Whew, I really thought I was a goner. Peering into the hazy aftermath, Debo asked, "It's really over, right?" El Palmi nodded. "Yeah, good work, Debo. Go collect the magic stone once the poison clears." And then, El Palmi froze. The massive creature materialized once again, unleashing a wave of fiery red light. Both of them stared up in shock, and Debo just grinned. Meanwhile, Rand burst out laughing at Abis. "Ha, so that's why you came running back after seeing them fail? Still as hot-headed as ever, huh?" Abis explained nervously. "My apologies, sir. I just believe this case is best left to Knight Silas." Just then, they heard a noise at the door. "The very thing our guild desperately needs." El Palmi bowed. "Thank you for the compliment, sir." Rand continued. "Good. I like your polite attitude. Let me ask you this. Do you think you can survive in that 100-man gate?" El Palmi calmly closed his eyes. "It would be difficult." Hearing this, Rand fell silent, deep in thought. Abis suddenly erupted. "Is that how you speak to Lord Ran, El Palmi? Don't think you can say whatever you want just because I registered you as an adventurer. And don't you forget about that massive debt you owe." Rand cut in. "Difficult, you say? That means it's still possible, right?" He leaned forward. "I don't like to beat around the bush, so I'll get straight to the point. What do you want?" Back at the tavern, Debo was so shocked he spat out his beer. He whipped his head towards El Palmi. "What? 5 million meso? For each of us? That's 10 million meso for the two of us. You're asking for way too much." El Palmi glared at Debo, who was now soaking wet from the spray. Debo stuttered. Sorry about that." He slammed his mug down. "But seriously, aren't you being a little too greedy? They'll definitely reject this offer, and our first big job will be a total bust." Wiping his face with a cloth, El Palmi just replied, "Don't worry about it. They'll have no choice but to accept." Debo scoffed. "Ha. You're so detached from everything, no matter how chaotic it gets. If Abis gets really mad, he'll blacklist us from the guild for sure." Just then, a voice called out, "You two look pretty relaxed, don't you?" Debo glanced over. It was Iburu and Jeber. Walking toward them, Iburu smirked. "You don't look like guys who just barely escaped with your lives." Debo thought he was being mocked, slamming the table as he shot up. "What did you just say? Is that any way to talk to the person who saved you? I've had it with you guys since we first entered that gate. Let's take this outside." Then, something unexpected happened. Both of them bowed their heads. "We apologize." Iburu spoke first. "For looking down on you both. I've been ashamed of myself ever since, so I came here today to sincerely apologize." He pushed a money pouch towards Debo. "Here's the amount we agreed on. 1.5 million meso. I threw in a little extra as a token of my gratitude." Debo grabbed the bag. "Huh? Oh, thanks." But El Palmi's voice cut in. "Cold. We don't need it. We'll take the 1.5 million. No more, no less. I only accept payment for the work done. Your gratitude? I have no use for it." With lifeless eyes, El Palmi added, "That's all I have to say." Iburu and Jaber just stood there, completely stunned. Debo grumbled, "Tch, if you weren't going to take it, you should have said so from the start. Got my hopes up for nothing." El Palmi turned to Iburu. "You're the pirate, right?" "Iburu, was it? Hey Iburu, would you risk your life for a job like me? Just for the thrill?" Elsewhere, Abis was practically begging. "Sir, you can't possibly do this. 10 million meso. For that amount, you could hire a third or even fourth circle mage. Even if he's the best candidate we have right now, you can't show him this much favoritism. He's just trying to milk us for all we're worth. Let me call him in here and renegotiate the price." Rand shot Abis a sideways glance. "You're that naive, are you? Why aren't you considering that he might come back and demand double the amount?" Abis gasped. "What?" Rand slid a piece of paper to him. "Read this." Abis was confused. "What is it?" Rand explained. "This time, the Gaffa Mechanics Guild will only be sending one team. El Palmi's team." Abis thought to himself, "A team of only 2 people? What can they even do?" Then, his eyes landed on something important and went wide. "Wait, is this for real, sir?" Rand replied. "If that intel is fake, we're in big trouble. I paid a fortune for that information." "The Dark King, Zin." Abis grit his teeth. "The Dark King Zin is actually going to be there?" Rand picked up a pen from his desk. "Don't make any foolish mistakes, Abis." He pointed the pen directly at him. "The war has already begun." At the gate area, members from various guilds were gathered, talking amongst themselves. Debo's voice could be heard from a distance. "I still can't believe they actually accepted your offer." El Palmi reminded him. "Don't get too excited. Focus on the fight." Debo shot back. "Don't worry. I'm a seasoned adventurer now, you know." As the other adventurers saw the Gaffa Guild's insignia, Their expressions changed. Debo looked around. The atmosphere here is strange. Suddenly, a voice called out. "Oh, we've got newcomers." A man named Suden stood up with a friendly smile. "You're from the Gaffa Mechanics Guild? A pleasure to meet you. I'm Suden, an E-rank adventurer from the Gis Mechanics Guild." El Palmi replied flatly. "I'm El Palmi, a C-rank adventurer." Suden was taken aback. What? A C-ranker? I thought only first or second circle mages were allowed in this gate. How can a C-ranker possibly?" Kiri stepped forward, cutting him off. "Hey, let me talk to him for a second, would you? I have something I need to say to him." Suden saw Kiri and instantly understood. Shh. So he's with that group. El Palmi recalled Abbas's request, asking, "Why do I have to do this?" Abbas had replied, "Just take the job order. Why are you asking so many questions? Our guild will be cooperating with the Snoz Knights on this one, following the ideals of Empress Snoz, the strongest army. The Snoz Knights, praised as a symbol of power and authority, had finally taken an interest in the gates." Abbas had continued. "The slots for the gate were snatched up by other guilds, so we had no choice but to team up with them. Even if they're only sending their amateur squad, our success rate will be much higher. And even though they're definitely plotting something by approaching this gate, cooperating with them isn't a bad move." El Palmi had simply said, "I see. It's just an alliance." Abis had shaken his head. "I don't think it's that simple. I've got a bad feeling about this." Back in the present, Kiri introduced herself with a not-so-subtle warning. "I am Kiri, leader of the Snoz Knights amateur squad. I expect you to know your place. Don't get any grand illusions just because we've exchanged a few words. I don't want any trouble, so just shut up and follow my orders." Debo frowned. "Huh? What the hell is this attitude?" Kiri crossed her arms. "Are you two the only team the Gaffa Mechanics Guild sent?" El Palmi nodded. "That's right." She closed her eyes and sighed. "Ha! So the Gaffa Guild has already given up on this, huh?" Other guilds began to approach the gate. The Gis Mechanics Guild, Crocus's group, the Mia Mechanics Guild, Cub's team. Debo thought, these guys are all elites from other guilds. The entire atmosphere had shifted completely. Next up was the Grick Blood Guild, led by the three Natasha sisters. Kiri glanced at the insignia on their clothes with a look of disgust. They looked so arrogant. Just then, Longko appeared. He announced, "Hello everyone, I am Longko, the one chosen to guard this place and assist those who make it out of the exit." Longko went over the rules one more time. "I'm sure your managers have already briefed you on the gate, but I'll repeat it just in case. Any legendary grade items dropped inside the gate will not belong to you in any way. Ownership belongs to the guild you work for. Of course, you will receive a corresponding reward. Finally, you should be happy that you get to keep any magic stones you find. And one more thing," Longko said. "If any of you try to claim supplies as your own," he gestured to his own team, "you'll have to face a group of B-rank adventurers." Debo's eyes widened at the circles on Longko's hand. A 5-circle mage. And his whole team is 2. Everyone stepped into the magic circle. "All right, that's all from me," she announced. "I wish you all a safe journey." As the adventurers began entering the gate, Kiri took command. "Follow me. I'll take the lead. I'm the only one who can clear this gate." Debo was pissed. Is she out of her mind? Do I really have to team up with her? El Palmi wondered. All my hard work, it was all to enter this place, a gate I've never set foot in before, not even in his past life. But I have to succeed, he thought. That chain of events has already started. El Palmi stepped forward. "Let's go." Debo scrambled to follow. "Even if they beg me for help," Debo muttered, "I'm not lifting a finger." The gate transported them all to a vast grassland. One of the leaders shouted, "Everyone, with me!" Debo looked around, amazed. "Whoa, look at the size of this grass." Kiri snapped at him. "You think we're here sightseeing? Get moving." Debo grumbled. "Boss, are you really going to let her talk to us like that?" He turned to El Palmi, who had his ear pressed to the ground, listening. "What are you doing?" Debo asked. "Get down." Suddenly, one of the men heard a rumble. "Huh? What is that noise?" he yelled. A ribbon pig stampede. A herd of massive, ferocious boars charged straight at them. And yeah, for some reason, they each had a bright red ribbon tied on. Chaos erupted. "There's got to be thousands of them," Kiri screamed. "What are you waiting for? Spread out and draw their attention. Go!" A few of the other teams hadn't entered yet. "Isn't there an unwritten rule that teams shouldn't interfere right away?" one adventurer asked. "Mechanic El Nido, over here," another called out. "We'll go this way." The ribbon pigs chased after the Snoz Knight squad. Kiri yelled while running. "Good! Head for the forest. There's plenty of cover there. We'll hunt them down in the trees." The orange-haired guy shouted to Kiri. "Miss Kiri, we have a problem. We've lost track of 2 members from the Gapo mechanics. Kiri froze. What? Back with El Palmi's group. Debo let out a sigh of relief. Whew, that was intense. He looked at El Palmi. Looks like we can relax a bit. But how did you know that Ribbon Pig Stampede was coming? El Palmi explained. Based on my experience, grasslands this wide often have large herds of monsters moving together. Ribbon pigs average about 2 meters long. They're extremely aggressive creatures that travel in packs of hundreds, sometimes even thousands. He thought to himself, it's tough, but not impossible to beat them. The other mechanic teams know that too. They just don't want to waste their energy right at the start, so they'll try to split the herd. From this point on, there's no telling what kind of monster will appear next. This is definitely not the end of it. In his past life, the 100-person raid on this gate ended in total failure. Every single adventurer died. Debo turned back. Hey, what are you thinking about? Suddenly, Debo's foot snagged on a tripwire. He looked up just as a trap filled with wooden spikes swung toward him. El Palmi yanked him back just in time. What was that? Debo gasped. A trap? Who would set traps way out here? Elsewhere, another mechanic team was dealing with the same thing. Their leader, Babeo, personally sliced a tripwire. Just then, a huge wooden stake shot at him from behind. Babeo split it in two with a single slash. Pathetic, he scoffed. A team member reported. We've cleared all the traps. That was the last one. But Crocus warned, don't let your guard down, Babeo. Babeo replied, Crocus, even if they're crude, these traps are dangerous. They're even mimicking human hunting methods. Which means these aren't your typical monsters, he continued. A monster with this level of intelligence has to be a hobgoblin. They're a real pain, which means they're probably the boss of this gate. Crocus closed his eyes. I had a feeling, he said. This gate's difficulty is high. Unless you're an adventurer on my level, you'll die a pointless death. He turned to leave. I'll find the best solution. Follow me. Suddenly, a strange sound cut through the air. Crocus glanced back. Hey, stay sharp. Don't drop your guard. He looked behind him and saw Babeo's head hit the ground. In a flash, the adventurers behind him were also decapitated. Crocus gasped. What the? Before he could finish, a cloaked figure sliced his head clean off his shoulders. As his head spun, his last thought was, who? The hooded figure just laughed. You fool, going on and on like you knew everything. On another side of the grassland, someone was talking to themselves, using a ribbon pig stampede to cause a distraction right at the entrance. Clever idea, whoever came up with it. But thanks to that, my job just got a whole lot easier. I should act now, while everything's going my way. The person speaking was William. He sighed. What a pain. William stood up. But I'm running out of time, so it can't be helped. Let's get this started. The 3 Natasha sisters stood frozen in place. One of them tried desperately to move her hand. William walked closer. It's useless to struggle. That's just how this magic works. It'll take at least 30 minutes to wear off. One of the sisters trembled as she spoke. Why? Are you doing this? William sounded impressed. Oh? You can still talk in that state? Just as I'd expect from a Natasha. As he spoke, he aimed a fire spell right at her. You seem dangerous, so I'll just kill you first. The other 2 sisters shook with fear. William crouched down. You're asking a difficult question. Why am I doing this? He glanced at them sideways. Would it be easier to understand if I put it this way? It's what we dark mages do. Fireball! William launched a spell at the remaining 2 sisters. One was obliterated from the waist up. The other's head simply vanished. William looked bored. Their endings weren't any better. He closed his eyes. Now I'd really like to rest. He recalled receiving the mission from a man with white hair. William, I've waited a long time for this day. We've hidden from their sight, concealed our identities, and spread our roots deep to expand our power and influence throughout the entire guild. The time is finally ripe. William had replied, I will not disappoint you, my lord. The white-haired man handed him a feather engulfed in flames. Take this. It is a gift. From him. Failure will not be tolerated. William thought, I probably shouldn't let this go out. He planted his staff in the ground. Well, I guess there's no other way. Looks like I'll have to put in a little more effort. At the goblin encampment, things were buzzing with activity. El Palmi and Debo hid behind a nearby tree. What the? Debo thought. What is this? His jaw was on the floor, his eyes wide with disbelief. Debo whispered frantically, Are you saying all of them are bosses? El Palmi corrected him. I'm certain. I already explained that only a few of them are actual bosses. But boss or not, it doesn't matter. They're all naturally powerful and extremely violent. Just facing one of them is risky enough. And not only that, it looks like they've collected loot from the adventurers they've killed. That makes them even harder to deal with, because some variants can use skills from those items. Debo's jaw dropped even wider. What does that even mean? So they're basically a whole army of adventurers themselves, and it's just the two of us against them? Epome just nods. You catch on quick. Good. Debo fires back. No. What are you even talking about? I'm trying to say there's no way we can do this with just the two of us. We need to team up with that Kiri person. Epome strokes his chin, thinking, why not? Didn't you want to split off and work separately from them? Debo snaps. That's because I don't know anything about these monsters. And anyway, with just two of us, it's impossible. Epome just watches. The blue goblins are on guard when Debo rushes in from behind, his weapon blazing. As he fights, he mutters, seriously, did he do this on purpose? I never said I was going to take them all on by myself. A goblin swings a massive fist. Debo slams his polearm into the ground, vaults off it, and flies into the air, dodging the punch. He hits the ground, and the goblins swarm him. Debo weaves and dodges, one almost lands a solid hit. He smacks it with his weapon. All talk, you piece of trash. Then he slices open the goblin's stomach. Debo leaps up, channeling power into his polearm, and brings it crashing down where the goblin was. But the monster dodged. The goblin lands a clean punch right in Debo's face. He goes flying, smashing into a nearby tree. Gritting his teeth, he snarls. Why won't you just die already? The goblin rushes forward, punching the tree into splinters. Debo ducks under the attack, using the opening to chop off one of its arms. The monster grabs Debo's head with its remaining hand and slams him straight into the ground, but he's not done yet. Debo locks his legs around the goblin's arm, squeezing tight. The creature screams in pain and lets him go. Debo pushes off and charges the goblin, fist raised. After a brutal exchange, the monster is finally down for the count. Debo rolls his shoulder, glaring. Figured you might jump in and help. Epome just shrugs. Look like you could handle it on your own. Besides, now you know they're not impossible to beat. Debo fumes. No, my foot. I'm having more and more doubts about this whole quest. What if there's an entire army of those things? Debo suddenly freezes, his voice filled with horror. What is all this? In front of them are the bodies of the Snoz Knight Order. Debo shouts, aren't all of them from the Snoz Knight Order? What the hell happened here? A faint groan. Debo spots something. Over there, a survivor? It's the orange-haired guy, wounded badly in his side. Epome rushes over. What happened? Did goblins attack you? Goblins? The knight says. Not at all. A bunch of bastards did this. Meanwhile, Abis is smoking, lost in thought. Something's not right here. Abis thinks to himself. Opportunists. These unknown gates can only be entered by a select few. Their goal is to gather intel and ambush the other adventurers. And since these gates vanish after they leave, all the evidence of their crimes disappears right along with it. But this time, it was pretty much a no-win battle. They'd have to clear this tough stage completely exhausted, with just a handful of people left. Even if they somehow cleared it and got a unique item, they'd never escape the suspicion of everyone outside the gate. Abis takes a drag from his cigarette. Could they be the elite from the merchant guilds? No way. Even if that was their plan, if word ever got out, they'd be at war with every other guild. A single guild wouldn't take a gamble that risky. So, is there a bigger meaning, a deeper purpose to all this? Back with Epome's group. Debo starts. Could it be? Epome cuts in. Yeah, I don't think I saw that girl here. The orange-haired knight slams his fist on the ground. Damn it. It's all my fault. Who would have thought she was the traitor among us? But why would Miss Kiri? Epome looks confused. I don't get it. Why would she, a member of the Snoz Knight Order, betray us? The knight replies, I don't understand either. No matter how I think about it, it makes no sense. But looking back on it now, the orders she gave at the gate's entrance, they must have been part of her plan all along. Tears streamed down his face. Before finishing things here, she admitted it herself. She said she was a disciple of the Dark Sorcerer. Debo is stunned. The Dark Sorcerer? As in, the legendary one from 800 years ago? He was a transcendent being who, with his followers, threatened the entire Wind Tree world. To stop him, the 6 heroes joined forces. That legendary battle pushed the Dark Sorcerer and his armies to the absolute brink. With him and the heroes sealed away and his disciples trapped in chaos, the allied forces counterattacked, wiping out every last follower of the Dark Sorcerer. Every citizen of the Wind Tree world knows that story. Debo shakes his head. No way, a disciple of the Dark Sorcerer. Epome gets serious. I don't think this is the time to worry about monsters. We need to find her. Are you coming with us? You should be prepared to fight her when we meet. The orange-haired knight's face darkens. That's exactly what I want. Elsewhere, Kiri is running for her life. She suddenly senses something and skids to a halt. William is waiting for her. Well, welcome. I've been waiting for you, Kiri. Next to him stands a hooded figure. William grins. Looks like you're the one who killed those ribbon pigs. Thanks to you all splitting up, our plan went off without a hitch. Now we can take our sweet time finishing this. By the way, did you get the little gift we sent you? Kiri, furious, draws her sword. Who are you people? Back with the others, Debo says. If you're hurt too badly, we can take it slow. He's already scouting ahead anyway. The orange-haired knight replies, Thanks, I'm fine. As Debo helps him up, he adds, Don't worry, our boss is great at tracking. I'm sure we'll find her soon. I see, the knight responds, his free hand clutching a hidden dagger. That's good to hear. As dawn breaks, Kiri lunges, attacking the hooded figure. William watches, impressed. Excellent. Just as expected from the training captain of the Snoz Knights. I wonder how much longer she can last. Kiri backs away, her sword glowing with golden light. She declares, Hi, son. Suddenly, a woman leaps out from the shadows, screaming, Enough! Showing off! Kiri parries the attack with her sword, then moves in a flash, pointing her blade at the new enemy. The woman yells, Wait! But before she can finish, Kiri shouts, Sun slash, and sends her flying. Kiri pants, out of breath. Talk. Tell me your purpose, or you'll die right here, William scoffs. So noisy. What are you guys doing? Kill her already. They all charge at once. Die! Kiri prepares to strike, but suddenly, someone flies in with a single, beautiful move that takes out the entire group. William is stunned. Kiri is shocked. That person was Debo. Let's rewind a bit. Debo was helping out this guy with orange hair, telling him, Hey, don't sweat it. Our boss is amazing at finding people. I'm sure we'll see her again soon. The guy just replies, Oh, really? That's great. But yeah, his hand was already gripping his weapon. Suddenly, orange hair screams out, Tell Kiri I said hello. But before he can even make his move, he's taken down. Just like that. Debo is completely stunned. What the? The ambusher yells, My hand, my hand. Debo looks over at El Palmi, totally confused. Boss, what's going on? El Palmi just scoffs. Just as I predicted. How pathetic. Sorry to break it to you, but I'm not really the trusting type. El Palmi raises his staff as he speaks. And with that, we snap back to the present. William stands up, a smug look on his face. Well now. Another uninvited guest has shown up. The blonde woman reports, Sir William, he's from the Gafo Mechanics Guild. He's still alive. William leans on his cane and sighs. I can see that, Tin. It seems that little rabbit was completely useless. I gave him a perfect chance to do his job. Was I wrong? How annoying. Since you two actually look strong, I guess we'll have to handle this ourselves. Kiri warns her team. Be careful. It's them. Debo just smirks. I know. They're total weirdos, right? Kiri is exasperated. What are you even talking about? William gives the order. All right, surround them. Debo cracks his knuckles. You can handle at least one of them, right? I'll take care of the rest. Kiri just warns him, don't get cocky. But Debo is already a blur of motion, taking one down with a single tangig. He swings his axe at Suin, who barely dodges. Debo sneers. Little rat, time to die. The blonde woman screams, Pierce! A flaming arrow zips right past Debo's body. She missed, and the look on her face is pure frustration. Suddenly, an enemy appears right behind Debo. Gotcha, little mouse. He unleashes a rising slash, digging into Debo's back. But Debo is still on his feet. The attacker clicks his tongue. Gee, too shallow. Guess that wasn't enough to finish you. Don't worry, the guy smirks. I'll release you from your pain right now. But then Kiri suddenly shouts, You blockhead, what are you doing? In a flash, Debo moves, appearing right behind his attacker. He frowns. What does it look like I'm doing? Obviously, I'm just playing with him. And with one clean slice, Debo cuts the guy in two. Another enemy immediately charges, screaming, You bastard! Debo moves with insane agility, dodging the attack like it's nothing. He uses a brutal slash that sends the man flying. The spear user grits his teeth. Damn it! How is he this strong? This is a letdown. Just then, Kiri's voice rings out as Suin goes flying through the air. The spearman dodges, but his teammate gets a face full of Kiri's boot. She lands, furious. And you people call yourselves the elites? The spear wielder growls, These damn freaks. That's when William finally speaks up. It seems I can't just stand by any longer. Your journey ends here. We've wasted more than enough time. Debo's eyes widen in shock. A rocket. William fires. Debo's only thought is that faster than the boss's magic? And then boom! A massive explosion shakes the very ground. William scoffs at the dust cloud. You let your guard down because it was just a rocket, didn't you? But my rockets are on a completely different level. You couldn't have dodged it even if you saw it coming. It's over. Let's get moving to the next dungeon. But William freezes. El Pomi blocked his rocket. He's stunned. How? Could you? El Pomi's telekinesis ring glows faintly. He just points off to the side and says, "Looks like another guest is arriving. Watch your backs, you idiots." El Pomi had used a lure to attract a massive herd of ice boars. William's group stares in disbelief. A horde of ice boars? The ground trembles as they stampede toward them. The ice boars roar. One gets right in William's face, and he cuts it down instantly, panting. Son of a... I can't believe they used these damn pigs to get away. William yells out, "Vuro! Vuro!" A man with a scar across his eye responds, "Sir William, my apologies. We've just finished clearing them on our side. The ground is littered with the bodies of the dead boars." William barks an order. "There's no time to regroup. We need to chase them down. Now." "Yes, sir," Vero replies. He thinks to himself, if they manage to escape this gate, it's going to be a huge problem. And that obnoxious guy, there's something seriously strange about him. They find fresh footprints on the ground. Vero reports, "Sir William, tracks, leading this way." William gives a chilling command. "If you run into the one in the cloak, just pin him down. That's all. I will deal with him myself." Vero seems hesitant. "Sir, with all due respect, I don't think you need to face him alone. If you'll allow me, he seems like more than just some small fry." William cuts him off sharply. "Are you worried about me? Have you forgotten? There is absolutely no one inside this gate who could possibly be stronger than me." As he speaks, his hand instinctively touches a feather hanging from his neck. Meanwhile, El Pomi's group is making its way through the forest. Debo is laughing. "Man, did you see the look on their faces? I bet they all got trampled to death by that herd of pigs." El Pomi just shakes his head. "They're not that weak. And more importantly, watch your step. Did you forget about all the traps around here?" Debo shrugs it off. "Of course not. But still, why didn't you just finish them off back there? You totally could have used their confusion as an opening. Boss? Hey boss." El Pomi's answer is blunt, "Because those bastards are stronger than I am." Debo stops dead in his tracks, completely floored. "Wait, what?" El Pomi thinks back to the rocket clash just moments before. El Pomi had fired his own rocket to counter Williams. Debo had been thrown back, just by the shockwave of their collision. However, Williams' rocket had torn straight through El Pomi's spell. He bites his lip, remembering. My rocket should have at least been able to deflect it, but is just punched right through without even slowing down. Debo seems to find this impossible to believe. "No way," Debo protests. "Stronger than you? You've got to be kidding." El Pomi's voice is dead serious. "Kidding? I have no reason to joke right now." Debo is stunned. "So, you actually ran away?" "Yes." He begins to unwrap the bindings on his arm. Looking at the magical markings, El Pomi sighs. "It seems my circle can't get any thicker." Debo is confused. "Is there a problem with it?" El Pomi explains. "The thickness of the circle is directly proportional to the speed and power of my magic. Right now, I'm at the absolute limit of the second circle. Logically, he and I should be on the same level. I might even have an edge. But his power, it's just completely irrational. To even get into this red gate, he has to have 2 circles. He must be using some kind of hidden method to boost his own power beyond its natural limits. He could very well be the strongest person inside this gate." Debo is shaken. "For real? Then what should we do now? Should we try to use the monsters against them again like before?" El Pomi shakes his head. "That tactic won't be viable anymore. The goblins in this area are completely different from those ice boars. They're smart enough to recognize the conflict between our groups, and they'd use it to turn the tables on us." Suddenly, Kiri cuts in, her voice filled with urgency. "Wait a minute, what in the world are you thinking? Don't you understand what's happening here? Do you even realize that a disciple of the Black Mage has infiltrated the Cygnus Knights? This is a massive crisis that could decide the fate of the entire Maple world. We need to get back and report this immediately. Clearing this gate doesn't matter anymore." El Pomi just glances back at her. "Ignore her." Debo is shocked. "Huh?" Kiri is seething with rage. "You're right. I shouldn't expect anything more from a former slave. All you can think about is the trash you can loot after clearing a gate, isn't it?" El Pomi's voice is cold. "And even if you do manage to report this information after we get out, what happens next? Do you really think that will be enough to wipe them out? Don't be so naive. The disciples of the Black Mage have spent thousands of centuries hiding in the shadows, their roots digging deep into the very foundations of the Maple world. It's too late now. If we reveal their back, there's only one outcome. They'll cut their losses and burrow even deeper underground. If they decide to vanish, no one will ever find them. They'll just keep rotting this world from the inside, from a place where no one can stop them. Kiri grabbed Elpami's shirt, shouting, "You keep telling me we can't do this, we can't do that. So what exactly do you want us to do? Stop talking nonsense. If you don't have a plan either, then let's move. They're hunting us down. We need to get out of here before they catch up." Elpami just smirked and replied, "Don't worry, we're about to show them who's really being hunted." Meanwhile, Sudan's group was frantically searching. "Find them, now," he yelled. "If they actually get out of here, we're all dead." Just then, Debo lunged from behind Sudan with his fire lance. "Hello there," he said, swinging his weapon. Sudan reacted instantly, ducking just in time. A spearman charged forward, shouting, "You idiot, you just walked into your own grave. This time, I'll finish you for good." Kiri's sword flashed, cutting a rope. The spearman was caught in a trap. Sudan screamed. Debo charged in, yelling, "Don't get so distracted." He slammed his lance down, but Sudan dodged. "Die!" Sudan roared, swiping at him with a knife. Debo dodged, but the blade still grazed his face, drawing blood. Sudan started to gloat. You little before a knee smashed into his chin. Debo unleashed a flurry of punches on Sudan, finishing with a hard right straight to his face. Outside, the blonde girl with the crossbow watched it all unfold. She was confused. What the hell is going on? Out of nowhere, Kiri ambushed her from behind, swinging her sword at the blonde's neck. The girl ducked just in time, barely saving her own life. Kiri kept up the relentless assault. The blonde girl scrambled to dodge every strike. Seeing Kiri's sword about to connect, she quickly blocked it with her crossbow. Kiri snarled, "Focus on me, you piece of trash. Trust me, I'm not enjoying having to deal with you either." Not far away, William stood up and said, "Looks like the fight's already started, has it? I was getting a little curious. Were you waiting for me?" Elpami appeared. William continued, "Well, whatever. I was looking forward to meeting you anyway." At the same time, they both unleashed their fire arrow spells. William's arrow shot forward to strike Elpami. He dodged it easily and fired back with his own. William laughed like a maniac. "Excellent." Elpami's arrow hit its mark, exploding on impact. Smoke billowed everywhere. Then, something shot out of the smoke, straight at Elpami. He dodged it just in time, thinking in surprise, "A rock?" Somehow, William had circled behind him. He sneered. "Is that all you've got?" He roared, "Fire arrow!" Flames erupted all around the battlefield, but Elpami had already neutralized the attack. William was shocked. "You just canceled my attack? How? Wow, what an unexpected result. You don't have the power to block that. So how did you do it? What did you do?" Elpami remained silent. William scoffed. I see you're the quiet type. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not like we can fight and chat at the same time. I'll just have to figure it out for myself." As he spoke, he launched another fire arrow. Elpami used his telekinesis ring on the incoming arrow, shouting, "Fire lance!" William's eyes widened. Is he using telekinesis to spin my own fire arrow? He's drilling right through my spell like a corkscrew. I've never heard of anyone using magic like this before. A massive explosion rocked the area. William was breathing heavily. Unbelievable. Using telekinesis to enhance a skill. I get it now. You're one of those so-called geniuses, aren't you? He let out a horrifying laugh, the kind of person I hate the most. William launched another fire arrow at Elpami, saying, "So what? Let's enjoy this little opportunity a bit more. Show me what else you can do." Elpami used his telekinesis ring again. He assembled stone blocks into a makeshift shield, but William's arrow pierced right through it. He roared with laughter. "Ha, what are you doing? Is running away all you can think of?" Elpami stopped and held his hand out towards William. The fire arrow William had just shot. Elpami was now controlling it, sending it right back at him. William yelled, "You bastard! Since when could you?" Elpami continued to guide the arrows. William struggled to dodge. He was furious now. "I'm done playing with you," he screamed, firing his own fire arrow to counter. Seeing this, Elpami used his fire lance technique. The explosion went off right in front of Elpami. William smirked. "So, you finally used both of your spells, haven't you?" And just like that, he was behind Elpami again. The ring on his hand began to glow. William roared, "Poison breath." Then he blew out a puff of air. A green, toxic cloud enveloped the area. "This poison breath really is powerful," he gloated. "But the downside is, I can't defend myself while I cast it. Your attributes are telekinesis and fire, right? If I can exploit the cooldown on your fire arrow, I can stop your attacks. Now, you won't be able to move for the next 30 minutes. Elpami stood frozen. His hand went rigid, and he dropped his fire arrow staff to the ground. William pulled out a dagger from his side. My fire arrow is on cooldown too, so you'll have to forgive my rudeness for having to finish you off with a simple dagger. He stepped closer to Elpami. And now, we've finally reached my favorite part. I'm so curious, I just can't wait any longer. William's face was flushed with excitement. He licked the dagger and asked, "What's that look of despair on your face? Are you trembling, or are you crying? If not..." Suddenly, Elpami lunged forward. He threw a punch with all his might, smashing his fist right into William's face. The man coughed up blood and collapsed. The scene flashes back to the tavern. Yuru asks, "How did he do it? Tell me, how did he resist the poison mushroom's toxins? Your boss isn't here right now, so you can tell me, can't you? I'll even pay for your beer, so just spill it." Debo took a swig of his drink. "What good would it do to tell you? Even if you heard about it, you couldn't copy it. He calls it a vacuum, I think. His skill uses telekinesis to suck in all the surrounding air and then seal it off. Right when I thought I was about to die from that damned poison mushroom, he just sucked up all the poison that had spread across that huge area. See? It's not that big of a deal, is it? I told you, so you're buying this round." Yuru was stunned. "What the hell? Isn't that skill way too overpowered?" Debo just laughed. "That's why I said my boss is crazy strong." Back in the present, Elpami is giving William a brutal beatdown. William tried to say, "the poison," but was cut off by an uppercut to the chin. He continued to pummel William senseless, then landed a massive punch that sent him flying into a nearby tree. Elpami used his ring to telekinetically pull his fire arrow staff back to him. Elpami drew his bow. He looked at William, pinned against the tree, and let loose a single fire arrow. It pierced through the tree and through one of William's arms. William's arm thuds to the ground. He's on the floor, trembling in pure agony. Unleashing his poison breath, William screams, "A punk like you," as a cloud of green mist explodes outwards. But Elpami raises a hand, activating his telekinesis ring. "Spatial," he commands. His power instantly contains the poison cloud. Elpami glares. "Trying another trick, are we? He might be acting like a madman, but I know he's aiming for something." Elpami's eyes dart to William's staff. Since he can't use his poison on me anymore, he's probably trying to get his staff back. "Go on, try it. The moment you do, I'll end you." Suddenly, a fireball materializes behind Elpami, blasting him away. William gets to his feet, laughing maniacally. "You be a hey hey," he roars. "You bastard! I'll grind you into 100 pieces." Slammed by William's fireball, Elpami leaves a long scorch mark on the ground. He coughs up blood, thinking to himself, "I let my guard down. I never expected him to have a fireball as a trump card. Before I returned, I never made mistakes like this. I got too arrogant." William then launches a volley of fireballs right at Elpami. The massive explosion rocks the entire area, even getting Debo's attention. He turns his head and calls out, "Big bro!" all while still holding Tsukiri by the neck, having already decapitated the spearman. The girl warns him, "Stop wasting time and finish him already. That mage isn't someone he can handle alone." Yeah, I was just about to," Debo snaps back. "Stop ordering me around." Just then, an arrow flies out of nowhere, embedding itself in Tsukiri's eye, shocking Debo. A horde of green goblins charges in, one of them holding a crossbow. Debo drops Tsukiri and scoffs. "Damn it. I was wondering when they'd finally show up." Kiri asks, "Are those green goblins? We need to clear this place out, and fast." Debo warns her, "Don't underestimate them. They're not as easy as they look. And what's more, one goblin leans on a staff while the others carry it on a makeshift throne. Plus," Debo adds, "there's a really weird-looking one among them." Back on Elpami's side of the fight, William wonders aloud, "Is that bastard really dead?" As he says it, he spits up a mouthful of blood. William vomits a pool of blood onto the ground, then starts laughing. "Ha ha. All right. You have my respect. You're actually not half bad. I never thought you could push me this far. Maybe I should have asked for your name before I finished you off, huh?" From within the roaring flames, a voice calls out, "Elpami." William's eyes go wide. Impossible. Elpami emerges from the fire, completely unfazed. Remember it well, because it's the last name you'll ever hear. William sneers, "You damn cockroach. You're hard to kill, aren't you? But it's pointless. Putting on a dramatic show won't help you escape. I've already figured out the limits of your power." Elpami replies, "You're right. I'm giving up on my original plan. Trapping you with just 2 magic circles is impossible." In Elpami's hand, an orange magic stone glows. William recognizes it. A magic stone? Then he bursts out laughing. "You bastard. Have you lost your mind? Is that your last hope? You plan to absorb that stone to gain another magic circle? You complete moron. Absorbing a magic stone won't give you another circle. What you need is enlightenment gained through countless experiences. Exactly, Elpami says. Experience and enlightenment. A powerful aura begins to radiate from his body. William just stares. Huh? On Elpami's wrist, a third circle begins to materialize. You don't need to worry, Elpami states calmly, because I've never been short on either of those. William charges forward in a frenzy. Trying to trick me with another act? Die. He launches 2 fire arrows straight at Elpami. Elpami just frowns. He casts his own fire arrow, which pierces right through both of William's. Panicked, William screams, "Fireball!" Using his telekinesis ring, Elpami transforms his arrow into a devastating fire spear. The spear continues its path, tearing through William's fireball like it's nothing. The fire spear hurtles towards William. His eyes widen in disbelief. Boom! A massive explosion erupts, engulfing everything in flames. Covered in wounds, Elpami looks towards William's body, or what's left of it. The entire upper half is gone. Crap, Elpami realizes. I forgot to ask for his name. Meanwhile, the Green Goblins are searching for Kiri and Debo. Kiri, carrying Debo on her back, has already hidden behind a nearby tree. This is bad, she thinks. Rewind a bit. Debo had been tearing through the Green Goblins with his halberd, counting them off. 16, 17. As Kiri faced off against her own goblin, she glanced at Debo in amazement. Huh? How is he beating those monsters so easily? Debo lets out a laugh. Haha, easy as pie. I can read you like a book, you piece of trash. A goblin swings its massive fist at him, but Debo moves in a flash, leaping from a tree branch with his halberd aimed down. 18, he shouts. Suddenly, a huge blast of fire sends him flying. The explosion is massive. Kiri stares in shock. That was a fireball. The goblin holding the staff cackles with glee. How can a monster like that use magic? She yells. Back in the present, Kiri glances around. A monster that can use items. Now that's a seriously unpredictable variable. Damn it. This situation is terrible. It looks like we have no choice but to hide and regroup with Elpami. I just hope he's still okay. Just then, a green goblin spots their hiding place. It reaches out its hand, about to grab them. Kiri sees it just in time, yanking Debo out of the way. The goblins roar and immediately give chase. Kiri is forced to run while carrying an unconscious Debo. A goblin blocks her path. She clicks her tongue in annoyance. Then, using all her strength, she swings Debo up into the air, draws her sword, and slices the goblin in half. She catches Debo as he falls and keeps running. Annoying flies, she mutters, thinking, I can handle them if they come one at a time. Kiri senses danger just as a fireball explodes right in front of her, blocking her path. The staff-wielding goblin laughs. But not if that damn boss monster keeps interfering. The goblin mage unleashes another volley of fireballs. Kiri dodges frantically with Debo in her arms, but one is about to catch up to them as the sphere detonates. The staff-wielding goblin laughed, totally amused. But then, from the thick smoke, a figure rose. It was Debo. That last explosion had knocked Kiri flat on her back. Seeing Debo get up, she managed to say, Messy hair. You? Debo suddenly charged, a blur of motion straight for the goblin leader. It just pointed, ordering its minions to intercept him. The goblin with the staff skewered by a spear of fire. Kiri gasped. A familiar hand appeared. That flame spear was controlled by Elpami. He frowned. Looks like I made it just in time. Elsewhere, Longco let out a huge yawn. He scratched his head, muttering, 3 days, and still no word from them. I was hoping for a simple gig to earn some cash after so long, he thought. But this whole thing has me worried. This really isn't my style at all. From now on, I'm turning down all base guarding missions. Longco then noticed a crowd gathering in the distance. He wondered, what's all that noise about? The gate suddenly started to shake. Then it cracked apart. Longco yelled, What the? The massive roots that formed the gate snapped one by one. A blindfolded man shouted, Is anyone there? Get a bishop over here now. Longco ran over. Hey, Kai, what's going on? Give me a status report immediately, Kai replied. Longco, we have a few survivors. The gate's been destroyed. The raid. It was a complete failure. Hearing this, Longco swallowed hard. He repeated, Survivors? Then looked down at Elpomi's group on the ground. Every single one of them was critically injured. Elpomi's eyes shot open as he bolted upright. Longco, sitting across from him, said, You're finally awake. Elpomi asked, Where am I? Longco's face turned serious. Listen up. From now on, you answer my questions to the best of your ability. Only the strongest from each merchant guild joined this gate raid. And yet, only 3 people from the Gappo guild survived. What in the world happened inside that gate? El Pomi was stunned. We're the only ones? He clutched his wounds in pain. I suspected as much, just as I thought. Everyone else is gone. A healer began using magic on El Pomi again. Longko warned, "You better start talking straight, unless you want to lose the life you just got back." El Pomi answered, "A demon. There was a demon inside." Longko repeated, "A demon?" El Pomi said, "Can I get some paper and a pen? I'll draw it for you. I don't know its name, but..." Hearing that, Longko closed his eyes. "I understand." Outside the white tent, shouts were already ringing out. "This is absurd." Inside, representatives from the various merchant guilds were in a heated meeting. Longko was giving his report. Someone spoke up. A 100-person gate, filled with the best fighters from every guild. Even for a 100-person raid, wasn't it just a red-level gate? And you expect us to believe that every single one of them was killed by monsters? To be blunt, there's no way they could have been defeated in a red gate. My cousin was on that team. The man speaking was the representative from the Sartorial Merchant Guild. Longko held up the drawing El Pomi had made. It doesn't sound like he was lying. Apparently, this is the monster that attacked them, the boss of the 100-person gate. Someone yelled, "A blue goblin!" The room erupted. If it's a blue goblin, don't rumors say they can use tools? I heard they have high intelligence. A whole horde of them would be like fighting a human army. 100 people had to fight that? It must have been a tough battle. A man stroking his beard said, I'm not buying this story. Maybe it was difficult for the others, but how could our Natasha possibly be defeated by a monster like this?" The man with the golden beard was Franco, the representative of the Goldrich Merchant Guild. Longko asked, "What are you implying?" Franco sneered. "Are you asking because you really don't know?" Franco's voice grew harsh. "Someone is playing games with us. This whole story is ridiculous, unless there was a backstabber among them." He continued, "We have no way of knowing what really happened inside the gate, right? I can easily imagine them changing their minds and plotting something. Who knows if this was an accident, or intentional? And now that I think about it, all 3 survivors belong to the same guild." Abus, a cigarette in his mouth, cut in. "Enough. You're done talking nonsense. Are you saying Gappo betrayed everyone? According to the report, our people barely managed to survive with their 3rd-tier skills, while everyone else failed. Isn't that proof enough?" Franco stroked his beard. "So, are you implying that the adventurers from our merchant guild are weaker than those from Gappo?" Abus shot back. "I'm not implying anything. The results speak for themselves, don't they?" The two went back and forth. "You must be joking. If the Gappo guild had so much talent, your guild wouldn't be ranked last among the 10 guilds." Abis, though annoyed, just laughed. "Haha, that's because we're still growing. The rankings will change soon enough, so get ready to lose your spot." Both men forced a laugh. Longko just thought to himself, "Please, just let this end." Franco crossed his arms. "Ahem. If you're going to make claims like that, you must have proof, right?" Abi said. "Proof?" He took the cigarette out of his mouth. "We didn't recover a single item from the gate in the first place. What motive could they possibly have? You hear me?" After the meeting, El Pomi bowed his head. "Well then, we'll be heading back. Thank you for the medical treatment." Longko nodded. "Yeah, be careful out there." He watched El Pomi's group leave. Kai approached him. "Longko, is it really okay to just let them go like that?" Longko replied, "It's all over anyway." As he was walking, El Pomi suddenly stopped, staring at something. Kiri, carrying Debo on her back, asked, "Would you look at that? Did it really follow you?" An orange-shelled snail appeared, a pink flower growing on its shell. Back inside the gate, Kiri had asked, "What are you hesitating for? We took down the Dark Mage's disciple and completely wiped out the goblin horde. Don't we just need to toss the items we found, rough each other up a bit, and leave the gate?" El Pomi looked at Kiri. Inside his bag, 2 feathers were glowing. He thought, she's right, that was the plan. Defeat the boss and leave the loot behind. But his item, the Phoenix Feather. This is an item that boosts the power of all fire-based magic just by having it, a 30% increase. And unlike other items whose effects don't stack, the Phoenix Feather's effect can be stacked. El Pomi thought to himself, I finally get it. The reason why all the adventurers in this gate were wiped out in my past life. This is an unexpected jackpot. I have to take it with me, no matter what. Kiri reminded him. If we take unreported items out of the gate, we'll be suspected of foul play. As I recall, you were the one who brought that up. El Pomi, don't get greedy, just stick to the plan. Especially since we already found an exit portal near the watchtower. Suddenly, a snail with a pink flower growing on its shell appears. Pomi and Kiri say in unison, a snail? A loot-collecting snail. Unlike other monster snails, this one isn't aggressive at all. It has a habit of sniffing out and collecting items. And it has one unique trait: the more items it holds, and the bigger its shell gets. Back in his past life, people only discovered these creatures after the gates opened. Back in the present, the snail pulls 2 phoenix feathers out of its shell. Elpami takes them. Kiri is shocked. So you managed to get that stuff out without being caught? How did you even know how to use that snail? Elpami just shrugs. Instead of making a scene on my way out of the gate, it was better to just see what worked. Kiri asks, I did what you asked. So what's the plan now? Don't worry, Elpami replies. Those scumbags have infiltrated the Cygnus Knights, so this info has to be kept absolutely secret. One wrong move and they could just go deeper into hiding. Kiri presses, and so? Elpami smirks. They've probably reached their destination by now, we just have to wait and see. The scene shifts to a grand mansion. A woman with black hair is reporting. The Genus Merchant Guild, the Madia organization, and the Gapo Merchant Guild have all been wiped out. Goldrich, El Nido, and Sky have all been eliminated. The subjugation was a failure. A man with white hair clutches a piece of paper as the woman continues her report. They're claiming the mission failed because they were beaten by the boss monster, and that only 3 members from the Gapo Guild barely managed to escape with their lives. And yeah, during the meeting, some suspected foul play, but the blame fell on the merchant guilds, not us. Even then, they weren't convicted due to a lack of evidence. The mission failed, but luckily, our identities remain hidden. Please, allow me to prepare for our next move. Outside, a storm rages. Thunder and lightning flash, illuminating the house. The white-haired man finally speaks. You say, we weren't exposed. The black-haired woman is confused. Pardon? He continues. Our plan was to wipe them all out and then take on the boss ourselves. If that was the case, the 3 survivors definitely would have met William. But in that Elpami's testimony, there was no mention of it. The woman argues, but they have no reason to hide that, do they? And even if they did, they can't point to our guild. We scattered our members among all the guilds. The white-haired man's eyes narrow. What if they had a reason to hide it? What if they realized the mastermind behind all this wasn't some ordinary merchant guild, but his disciples? The only ones who know the disciples of the Dark Sorcerer have returned. What if that was their true goal? Hearing this, the woman gasps. No, that's impossible. If what you say is true, then this situation is critical. We have to eliminate the members who infiltrated the merchant guilds before they're exposed. The white-haired man says, an invitation. Is this their invitation to us? He burns the paper in his hand. How interesting. Very well. I'll accept. But we should change the stage and make them the 1001st guest. It was a hell of extreme poverty, where just living with dignity was a luxury. I watched my sister suffer from the black blood disease, living in constant pain every single day. I couldn't even protect the only family I had left from death. This place has always been a living hell for me. Then, a woman appeared, smiling. Still alive, I see? She looked down at Debo, his hands in chains. Looks like you're in a tough spot. Want some help? Debo just glared. Get lost. That, he recalls, was the first time I met Iran. The scene changes, a monster roars, its mouth wide open. Nice, Debo says, landing the killing blow on a monster. I'm number 1. A man with a spear, sitting on a monster corpse. Sighs. If only I'd been 30 seconds faster. Miria chimes in. Looks like we know who's on dish duty today. Debo, you're getting way too arrogant. Iran turns around. Seems like we've cleaned them all up. Good work, everyone. Now, let's move. Debo looks up at Iran, standing on a mountain of monster corpses. He thinks, 1 year. That was enough time to completely change my worth. She was a hero, cool-headed but warm, always clearing the path and protecting everyone. She opened my eyes to the world. Of course, my only goal is to help her. The spearman laughs. Haha, getting real combat experience from the abandoned mines to the challenge cave has been awesome. Thanks for this. Debo bristles. Can't you see I'm in a bad mood? Stop laughing. The man just shrugs. Right. Debo, you didn't really do anything though, did you? The spearman teases. You call yourself Iran's disciple, but I think you'll have to do a little better to get her approval. Debo explodes. I told you to drop it. Iran turns to her companion. Son, do you think this is the right way? Son points to the cave ceiling. I think so. My brother left his markings up there. Aaron suddenly stops. Something in the air. It's changed. A place like this exists beneath the Elnus Mountains? Flashing back a few days, Son was pleading. Please, I'm begging you. She clasped her hands together, desperate. The abandoned mine in the Elis Mountains is too dangerous. I can't go alone. and no one else will go with me. I need your strength, Aran, to find my brother. Aran was unmoved. You've come to the wrong place. I don't handle personal problems like this. Bringing you along would be useless. My policy is that bringing anyone with less than a level 3 skill is just a liability. There's no guarantee your brother's even still alive. Go find another adventurer. Debo stepped in. Aran, sorry to interrupt, but we're her last hope. Ever since that last incident, no adventurers go to the challenge cave anymore. He says, seriously, I want to help her. I'll take full responsibility for her safety. Please, reconsider. Back in the present, inside the challenge cave, the scene is grim. Aran stands over a body on the ground. Is this him? Sun shakes her head. No, that's not my brother. Aran nods. I see. I suppose that's a small blessing then. But why did he die here? These wounds. They don't look like they were made by a monster. He's been dead for exactly 1 week. Wait, if I remember correctly, this person is. Suddenly, a massive shadow looms over the group. It slams down into the ground, sending rock and dust flying everywhere. Daibo shields Sun, yelling, "What the hell is going on? It couldn't be. Damn it, that's Zakum." The monster reached right for Debo. He yelled to Sun, "Get back, hide behind me." Then, out of nowhere, wham! An axe slammed deep into Zakum's arm. It was Aran, he roared. "Debo, we're hitting it from the left." Debo charged forward without hesitation. "Let's finish this now." The others rushed in right behind him, ready for a fight. The 4 of them unleash hell on the Zakum. But in the chaos, Sun spots something else, a hidden cave entrance. After the beast finally falls, Debo gasps for breath. Whew! So that was the damn thing everyone's been talking about? Miria looks around. Where's Sun? Anyone see where she went? Hearing this, Debo shouts, "What?" He spots Sun's rabbit hairpin on the ground, lying on the ground, right by the cave entrance. Debo leans down, picks up the hair clip and says, "Don't tell me she went inside alone. Damn it. Why would she act on her own like that?" Aran's brow furrowed. "Everyone, be careful," she warned. "I can feel a massive source of power radiating from inside." One of the team members asked, "What? You mean there's something in there?" Aran replied, "I'm not sure. I can't get a clear read on it. But there's definitely something incredibly powerful and very, very dangerous." Debo straightened up. "I'm going in to bring her out." He bowed his head slightly. "I'm the one responsible for her safety. The rest of you, stay here and guard this entrance." Miria pleaded, "Debo, calm down. Didn't you hear what Aran said?" But Aran spoke up. "I'll go with you. Whatever's inside is a threat to the world of seals, so it's my duty to stop it anyway." "Well, that settles it then," Miria said. "Let's go." The team advanced into the cave. Beside the path, a river of deadly lava glowed ominously. They found Sun sitting at the base of a tree wrapped in massive chains. Debo shouted, "There, it's Sun." But then he froze. "Wait a second. There's a body." Sun was weeping beside the corpse of her brother. She reached out, touching his face. "Yes, that's my brother." But Aran felt it instantly something was terribly wrong. "Damn it," Debo thought. "The absolute worst has happened." He called out, "Sun, stay put. I'm coming to get you." But she just smiled, a chillingly calm smile, and replied, "You followed me, Debo. I knew you would come. You're a good person after all. But there's no going back for me." Hearing this, Debo asked, confused. "What?" Sun continued. "Debo, do you know what Jakum means? It means demon tree. Many people thought that moving thing from before was Yakum, but the truth is, only this giant tree right here is the real Jakum. The real battle hasn't even started yet." Debo yelled, "Sun, what the hell are you talking about?" Aran raised a hand, stopping him. "Thank you for the information," she said calmly. "So this is its true form. Sun, I will destroy this demon tree, so don't you worry," Aaron said, walking closer to her. "Now, you need to get out of here. It's dangerous. If the tree falls, you'll be trapped in here forever. Unless," Aran's eyes narrowed. "You still have something left to do? For example, using your brother as a sacrifice?" Sun held up a glowing magical orb. "You still don't get it, do you? It had already begun. The moment you all stepped foot in here, you will be possessed by Jakum, and it will control you completely." The moment the words left her mouth, Miria lunged from behind, driving her sword straight through Debo. Aran spun around just in time to see the spearman charging her with devastating power. Debo clutched his wound, his voice filled with pain. "Miria, what did you just do?" He stared, eyes wide with disbelief. Miria's eyes were glowing a deep crimson. She'd been hypnotized. "You," she hissed, "killed my friend." Sun laughed. "It's useless. To them, you two are the targets that must be destroyed. Now, everything ends. Let's try to finish this performance, shall we? Sun's form began to warp and change. Her hair turned stark white. Her eyes became pitch-black voids with blood-red pupils. Raising her hand, she declared, "For the Dark Sorcerer!" A massive explosion rocked the cavern, sending dust and debris flying everywhere. Debo, severely wounded, thought, could it be? Was she possessed by Joachim? Debo, Aran screamed. Debo, stop being such a coward and end it. That's not Miria anymore. Wake up. Debo stared at the out-of-control Miria and grit his teeth. I know. Damn it. Aran leapt high into the air, her axe glowing with a brilliant blue light, amplifying its power. Smash! Swing! She roared, bringing the axe down and carving through everything around her. Debo clenched his jaw, his mind racing. Damn it! This is all my fault. I never should have suggested we come to this place. At that moment, the spearman's head rolled across the cavern floor. Ah! Debo roared, charging forward with his weapon raised. It's all my fault! He slammed his axe straight into Miria. She coughed up blood. His voice trembled. I'm sorry, Miria. Her shield flew out of her hands. Miria reached a hand towards Debo's face. He flinched, then with a surge of power, slashed her in two. Her hand gently came to rest on his cheek as she whispered her final words. Thank you so much. Please, take care of Aran. And with that, she fell. Meanwhile, Aran jumped up and swung her axe into the Joachim tree, shouting, So this is your true body. Boom! The ground erupted. The stone hand of a golem shot up, blocking the blow. The monster then swung its massive fist at Aran. She dodged just in time and yelled, Aran, let's tear this thing apart. The two attacked at the same time, letting out a unified battle cry. Debo was struck by the stone monster, but managed to block with his axe. He grit his teeth. This damn thing. Sun suddenly rushed in from a distance, a dagger in her hand, screaming, I offer my life to the Supreme One. In one swift move, Aran cut her down on the spot. Debo said, Now only that statue is left. It's not going to let us destroy it easily. Suddenly, he stopped talking, clutching his head and screaming, Egg! Aran's brow furrowed. Debo? Could it be? Debo fought to stay lucid. Aran. Don't. You have to hurry. You have to kill me. Do it now. Before I do something I'll regret. Erin gripped her axe tightly as a blue aura flared to life around her. Damn it. Son of a, she cursed. Forgive me, Debo. But Debo just smiled, a thought crossing his mind. Yeah, in the end, this is for the best. This must be the price I have to pay for my foolish thoughts. I'm sorry, everyone. Because of me. Erin, hurry. Debo's mind fractured, and he saw a hallucination of his sister lying on the ground. Debo panicked. How is my sister here? What's going on? Who brought her here? Who is it? Was it you? How dare you? Aran steeled her resolve. Don't worry, she said. I'll make this quick. But Debo had lost all control. You dare bring my sister into this? I will never forgive you. The stone golem attacked Aran from the front, and right behind it, a berserk Debo lunged forward, swinging his axe with impossible speed. Aran dropped to the ground, but still lost a few strands of hair. Debo's reflexes were inhumanly fast. He brought a knee up right into Aran's face. She barely managed to block it with her hands, grunting chew. His reflexes are too sharp. The two of them clashed again and again. Aran swung a massive blow. But the slash slammed into one of the golem's arms instead. Aran landed smoothly. Debo turned just in time to see Aran use her skill. Final blow. The monster's arm was sliced clean in two. Debo collapsed. Aran moved instantly, leaping high into the air. She swung her axe for the decisive strike, shouting, Let's end this. Final blow. Aran was shocked. Debo was back on his feet, standing on the golem's head, and charging straight for her. She grit her teeth, thinking, Debo, you damn idiot. This is my only chance. I can't stop now. I'm sorry, Debo. Aran continued her attack, aiming to destroy the Joachim tree. Just then, Debo slumped to the ground, his senses returning. Ugh, what's happening? Joachim is still standing? A weak voice called out. So, you're finally awake, huh? Aran was lying on the ground, bleeding out, with Debo's axe buried deep in her side, a massive wound. Well, that's good. I thought I might have to go without saying goodbye. Debo was horrified. Aran, did you? His hand reached out, trembling uncontrollably. No, it can't be. This can't be happening, Aran, Debo cried. I told you to kill me, so why? Why would you do this? Aran just replied, Debo, 800 years ago, we already failed once. I'm not the one who's going to stop the Dark Sorcerer anymore, but you are, Debo. You're so talented, not like me. At your age, I couldn't even compare. Debo's voice trembled. Please, stop. Aaron, I can never be as strong as you. I'll never reach that level. But Aaron just smiles back. Debo, I'm leaving the Maple World to you. I know you can handle it. You'll be fine. Her voice fades. Because you're my only student. Aaron's consciousness slips away. I'm a little tired. I'm just gonna sleep for a bit. Debo screams, Aaron, wake up. Open. Open your eyes, Aaron. But just like that, Aaron was gone forever. I had to tell her heroic friends what happened. And then, I left. That place wasn't for me anymore. Without Aaron, it was just hell. Then Debo fell into a dream, or rather, a nightmare. In it, a skeleton was controlling fire, launching attacks right at him. The dream twisted all of Debo's fears together, failing to protect the one person he'd finally found, and never being able to atone for his past. He couldn't even grant the final wish of the person he cherished most. He tries to stand, but the skeleton just summons another fireball, blasting him again. He can't dodge in time, he just shuts his eyes tight. Boom! An explosion, and Debo's eyes fly open. He's in bed. Dee sees him awake and says, Oh, you're up? I was getting worried. You were unconscious for ages, even though you weren't hurt. Oh, right. You were talking in your sleep. Having a nightmare? Debo sits up, scratching his head. A nightmare? I don't remember a thing. A knock at the door. Dee sighs. Huh? Who could that be? I don't remember expecting anyone. Coming, she yells. Who is it? Turns out, it's someone for Debo. For me, Debo steps outside. El Pami is leaning against the wall. Our plan just got moved up. Get ready, and make it fast. Debo sighs. Seriously? Not even one day off? Boss El Pami just smirks. Didn't you just have a nice long rest? Debo groans. Ugh, why do I even bother asking? So what's the new plan? El Pami holds out his hand. First, you're gonna owe me some cash. 200,000 misos should do it. Debo immediately shoots him down. Absolutely not. And that's where we're gonna end it for today, the complete summary of part 1. So what did you guys think? Let me know your theories down in the comments below. And don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to catch all the awesome videos coming your way. For now, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.